Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 41, Nie Zhenbang is mine. The title of leader is a unique one. The soul of the army, the mastermind behind the reforms and opening up. Whether in terms of status or position, it is extraordinary. Ordinarily, a person of the stature of the leader wouldn't act this way, not even in the course of alliance building. For Nie Zhenbang, and even Nie family, this is a monumental honor. Superficially, Nie Zhenbang, at this moment, can be said to have firmly established his position as the crown prince of Jingcheng. With the influence of his title as the adopted grandson of the leader, coupled with the backing of the Nie family, no one in the country could touch him unless he committed murder or arson. Seeing Elder Nie and Nie Zhenbang with their mouths wide open in shock, the leader humorously said, "What's the matter, old Nie? Are you displeased about having to share this great-grandson? You've always had a small-minded temperament. During the anti-Japanese war, you hoarded Japanese canned food. Now you're treating your own grandson like a valuable treasure." At the remarks from Elder Nie laughed too. The wisdom of the leader was indeed extraordinary. With such a humorous statement, even if he disagreed, he could diffuse the awkward situation. Elder Nie was also weighing the pros and cons of his present situation. If agreed, he would have joined fully the faction of reformists. Also, given the leader's stance, the status of the Nie family is now elevated. The Nie family couldn't avoid this, they had no more choices. With the current political climate, refusing to cooperate was obviously not an option. Nie Zhenbang's plans, though not bad, were premature. Afterwards, Elder Nie laughed as well and said, "You're quite the talker. If not for my canned food back then, you might not have survived the anti-Japanese war. My grandson is practically your grandson already, isn't he? Whatever you say goes. I have no objections." Upon hearing this, the leader laughed heartily, saying, "Good, good. You are indeed my good old war buddy, with such a generous character. We shall have a small gathering at my place in 5 days to celebrate our new bond." Turning to Nie Zhenbang, he added, "Zhenbang, after the ceremony we'll discuss your trip to the Soviet Union." 5 days passed quickly. Those days, inside the Jingcheng circle of influence, all the prominent families received invitations from the leader. The news of the leader adopting Nie Zhenbang as his grandson had spread among them. On the morning of the gathering, decorations filled Meixiang Park. An open-air venue was set up in the large courtyard in the style of a Western buffet. Many employees from the Forbidden City were bustling around. The courtyard, known as Red Wall, derived its name from the place of residence and office of central leaders, formerly the Imperial Palace, enclosed within a red boundary wall. Inside the courtyard, faces of all the prominent Jingcheng families showed up. The patriarch of the Yang family arrived with the second and third generations of the Yangs. Elder Li from the Li family soon joined in laughing. "Old Yang, what a sight we are in for today. Young people are to be respected indeed." Elder Yang noticed the arrival of the Li family and Guo family, the stalwarts of the conservative faction. Members of the neutral faction, the Zhou family, were also present. However, none of them looked particularly pleased. As soon as it was 9 o'clock, the leader, Elder Nie, Elder Li, and Elder Dong, who had long since retired, walked out together. The leader wore a smile on his face. According to Chinese customs, various items needed for the ceremony were ready. Elder Dong served as the presider and the host. Although Elder Dong was already 87 years old, his vigor was evident when he announced loudly, "Today, let us all witness the ceremony of the leader and Nie family forming an adoptive bond. Now, let's invite the leader to take a seat." Under the direction of Elder Dong, the leader and Elder Nie took their seats together, and Nie Zhenbang bowed to Elder Nie before he knelt in front of the leader. After the solemn ceremony of bowing 3 times and kowtowing 9 times, Nie Zhenbang called out, "Grandpa." The ceremony was thus completed. Everyone was a typical atheist. The traditional formalities were only a formality in nature. The various families in Jingcheng were more interested in the implications behind it. The leader laughed, "Good, good. It seems have taken advantage of old Nie this time and got half of this good grandson. Zhenbang, get up now." After the ceremony, it was time for the free reception. At this time, the circle was formed. The conservative faction quickly took their leave. The neutral faction gathered together, discussing something from time to time. But regardless of their faction, everyone shared the same understanding: they should warn their children not to mess with Nie Zhenbang after returning home. At this time, Elder Nie and the leader were also gathered together. Elder Dong was also smiling at Nie Zhenbang. He had attended Nie family's ancestor recognition ceremony last time, however, he hadn't paid any more attention after a brief glance. Moreover, he didn't expect Nie family's grandson to be so remarkable. As the saying goes, observers have clearer minds than those in the field. As an outsider, Elder Dong saw it more clearly than anyone else. Everyone else thought the transformation of the Nie family was due to the change in Elder Nie's attitude. But only Elder Dong knew that given Nie Elder's personality, he wouldn't flip-flop so much. Combining the changes before and after, all of these alterations began after Nie Zhenbang entered the Nie family. This was not a simple matter. Thinking of this, Elder Dong smiled and said, "Leader, Elder Nie. Having met Zhenbang today, it is clear he is an extraordinary young man. I would like to propose a match for him." Not only were Elder Nie and the leader taken aback at his words, but Elder Yang was also stunned. Elder Yang was an extraordinarily intelligent man, and he whispered to Yang Shengli, "Shengli, quickly bring Anna over here." Elder Dong looked at everyone's shocked expressions and laughed. "Zhenbang is 17 this year, isn't he? My youngest granddaughter, Dong Wan, happens to be 16 this year. She is indeed a beauty that can be presented before the crowd. If Elder Nie has no objection, we could use this occasion to arrange a betrothal between them. How about that?" Everyone knew that Elder Dong's granddaughter was the youngest child of the famous Dong family's sixth son. Downing's sixth son, who had married a commoner woman, was undoubtedly an important figure in Jingcheng. More importantly, the sixth son was clearly favored in the Dong family. Dong's sixth son was now only 43 years old, but he was already the secretary of the Shuiyu Provincial Committee. With such qualifications and abilities, he was definitely the core figure of Dong family's future. As for the daughter of Dong's sixth son, she was known as a beauty in Jingcheng. If being described as nation-shaking beauty would be a bit exaggerated, then national beauty would not be an overstatement. Nie Zhenbang was standing next to them and frowning. Dong Wan. Nie Zhenbang was unfamiliar with the name because Dong Wan, who was just like her name, was gentle and quiet. She tended to avoid matters related to the circle and naturally wouldn't have many people know about her. In addition, Nie Zhenbang himself disliked this kind of arranged political marriage. "Third brother, you've definitely hit the jackpot this time. Dong Wan is the top ice queen in Yuying's school," Li Wen whispered to him. Looking at Li Wen's envy, Nie Zhenbang already knew that Dong Wan must be good-looking, otherwise, Li Wen wouldn't react this way. Just then, before Elder Nie could say anything, Yang Anna jumped out angrily. "Grandpa Dong, you can't play matchmaker. Brother Zhenbang is mine. No one can take him away." Chapter 42, Meeting with Dong Wan. "Girl, what nonsense are you talking about? Shut your mouth." Before anyone else could speak, Elder Yang immediately scolded. This scene made Yang Shengli, who was standing nearby, feel a bit ashamed. The old man was too cunning. He was the one who had called Anna over. His motive was clear: Elder Yang wanted to break up this arranged marriage. It wasn't that he was worried about the Nie family's power becoming too great. Rather, Elder Yang seemed to have an eye for Nie Zhenbang. Besides, considering the personality of his own granddaughter Anna, Elder Yang naturally had to consider her interests. The old are indeed cunning. In this situation, it was not appropriate for any outsider to speak, only young Anna, the child, could. After all, children's words are considered innocent. At this moment, young Anna stood like an indignant hen, puffing out her chest, glaring at Elder Dong, and then at Elder Nie. It looked like if Elder Nie agreed to this marriage, she was ready to fight over it. At Elder Yang's yell, young Anna immediately burst into tears. "Grandfather, you can't go back on your word. I've said it before. Zhenbang brother is my life-saving benefactor. In this life, I will marry no one but him. If you won't let me, I'll just become his concubine." At this juncture, people like Elder Nie, who had come from the old society, were aware of multiple marriages. But young Anna, only 14 years old and already aware of these things, was quite precocious. At this time, Elder Dong had come to his senses and purposefully glanced at Elder Yang next to him. This young fellow, resorting to all means to scoop up a grandson-in-law. Perhaps out of confidence in his own granddaughter, Elder Dong smiled and said, "Well then, let's leave it at that." Then he looked at young Anna. "Little Anna, where did you learn all this from? At such a young age, it's not good to watch Hong Kong and Taiwanese TV shows. Children should focus on their studies. Dong will promise not to steal your Brother Zhenbang anymore. But remember, if your Brother Zhenbang doesn't like you but likes Dong Wan instead, you can't take it too hard." Who was Elder Dong? He was the deputy director of the Central Advisory Commission, appointed by the head of state to oversee the comprehensive work of the commission. In this era, it could be said that the commission was indeed the true center. Since Elder Dong had already identified the issue, he would naturally not let the Yang family succeed. Thus, he proposed this solution. The aim was obviously for free love, depending on whom Nie Zhenbang favored. At this moment, young Anna looked at Elder Dong. Her bright eyes sparkled. Beside her, Nie Zhenbang felt overwhelmed. Honestly, in his previous and present lives, Nie Zhenbang did feel guilt towards young Anna. However, he needed time to accept her. In his previous life, Nie Zhenbang had no feelings for young Anna. Gratitude should not be confused with affection. In this life, Nie Zhenbang was unsure about his future. It appears he could only take one step at a time. Young Anna hesitated for a moment and finally nodded, "All right, grandfather. Dong, you must keep your word." With this, Elder Dong burst into hearty laughter. Looking at Elder Yang, he said with hidden meaning, "Old Yang, you have really brought up a great-granddaughter." After the kinship acknowledgement was over, the news of the head of state considering the third son of the Nie family as his godson had already spread in Jingcheng. In the Forbidden City in the Purple Pavilion, Zhuri's office, Zuri looked at Oh Wahun with a rather gloomy expression. They had attempted to test the waters but did not expect to elicit such a strong response from the reformist faction. The head of state's decision to acknowledge Nie Zhenbang as a family member at this moment was not without the intent of backing Nie Zhenbang. After all, Walmart, which has launched a large-scale expansion across the country, opening 15 stores in just 2 months, has now become famous. At the same time, it has become an example for private businesses. Wahun, slow down with Walmart. The general principle is strict screening. As for those already operating, let's leave them as they are. As for those yet to operate, we certainly will not approve any further. After some thought, Zuri expressed his intentions. Hearing this, Oh Wahun knew that matters pertaining to his son had reached an impasse. He nodded and replied, "Chief, I understand. You can rest assured." The kin recognition incident brought changes to the central government, but Nie Zhenbang wasn't concerned. At this point, Nie Zhenbang didn't need to worry too much. At this time, the Nie family was already on board with the reformist faction. They were comparatively at ease. At this time, Nie Zhenbang was dragged to the gate of Yuying School by Nie Zhenbang. Seeing Nie Zhenbang come over, a group of people immediately gathered around, all familiar faces, including veterans from Special Wartime, Lu Kun, and the fourth child of the Chen family. The rest were all people who had been hanging out with Nie Zhenbang. Third brother, young master. This time, you're not just here to see your sister-in-law, right? I heard the Dong family has proposed marriage already. Many people greeted them one after another. Go away. What do you guys know? Today, our young master is here to test the waters. Nie Zhenbang also joined in the teasing. A line of people, impressively walked into Yuying School. On the field, another group had gathered at this moment. At the forefront of the group was a young man about 1.8 meters tall, very robust overall, with a strikingly handsome face. Young Master Shu, if you don't act now, it'll be too late. Just now, I got the news that Third Nie is here. He seems to be headed for Dongwan. If you don't compete, it'll be too late. A man with glasses in the crowd said anxiously. On the side, a fat man chimed in, exactly, young Master Shu. We're all from Dongye background. We're no worse than them. I heard that Third Nie is now boasting to be the #1 man in Jingcheng. Who gives him the right to do so? We from the military commission compound don't even speak out. Who the hell does Nie Zhenbang think he is? Young Master Shu, let's go, let's meet Nie Zhenbang. Considering the background, your family's elder Zhang is #1 in the National People's Congress. He is third in the Politburo Standing Committee. He is ranked much higher than Nie's. What are you afraid of? On the side, someone stoked the fire again. In Jingcheng, the ruling social circle is roughly divided into several factions, one of which is the government. Additionally, the army is considered a faction. Inside the army, there are even more factions. In essence, they are divided according to the units of the older generation at home. Those from the same units naturally get along well, making the younger generation even closer. This Zhang Shu is the direct grandson of the Zhang family. His grandfather came from the military background. Even though he is currently holding a position in the National People's Congress, Zhang Shu's parents are all serving in the military. He is part of the military faction among those who share a Dongye background, and he is seen as a top figure. Zhang Shu is also an impetuous young man. Stirred by his peers, he immediately threw away his basketball and declared, "Let's go." At the entrance of the teaching building, Nie Zhenbang stood next to Nie Zhenbang, pointing to a young girl standing by the third-floor railing, whispering, "Old 3, look, that's Dong Wan." Following Nie Zhenbang's pointing finger, they saw a girl standing by the railing on the third floor. She was about 1.7 meters tall, with long flowing hair, phoenix eyes, and a melon seed face radiating an oriental charm. Her clothes were simple, yet very fitting and appropriate. Nie Zhenbang had to admire, she truly was an exceptional beauty. At this time, Zhang Shu and his group were already approaching. Seeing this group approach with an aggressive manner, without Zhang Shu saying anything, his followers began shouting, "Make way! All make way! We've only heard that Nie's third young master is Jingcheng's #1 prince. We've got to see it for ourselves today." Nie Zhenbang's eyebrows furrowed. This reputation was truly too tiring. His gaze swiftly landed on Zhang Shu. Their eyes clashed in an instant, just like a duel between top-notch martial artists in a wuxia novel. With their first encounter, sparks were already flying. Zhang Shu tilted his head, sizing up Nie Zhenbang. After a long time, he finally said, "So you're Nie Zhenbang. Let me introduce myself, Zhang Shu, from the Military Commission's Compound No. 2. If you're here to play, I welcome you. But if you're here for Dong Wan, I'd advise you to know your place and get lost." Upon hearing this, Nie Zhenbang laughed. Behind Zhang Shu, Nie Zhenbang saw Dong Wan walking over. With a serene smile on his face, he said, "Zhang Shu. Heard of him? Somewhat capable. Seeing him today, he's just so-so. As for what I'm here to do, you don't have the qualification to concern yourself." Seeing Nie Zhenbang's attitude, Zhang Shu's face darkened and he laughed. "Whoa, you're pretty arrogant, kid. Let me make it clear, Dong Wan is the one I'm interested in. If you're not afraid to die, feel free to approach her." Chapter 43, Going to the Soviet Union Together. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang was obviously ready for a show. Honestly, Nie Zhenbang didn't care much about matters of affection. In Jingcheng, many crown princes liked to pursue women, elegantly, relying on their charm. In this era, those who could get rich information were still these elites. Playing with charm and romance all required time. In Outlaws of the Marsh, the 5 major elements of attracting women that Wang Pio and Examen Qing spoke about were hardly a problem for the troublemakers in Jingcheng. The so-called beauty of Panan, wealth of Deng Tong, and leisure. First of all, the young generation of Jingcheng, their ancestors were senior members of the military and government. Just old bachelors. Marrying a beautiful woman was a genetic optimization starting from the first generation. In the second generation, there were more unions between the upper echelons, both parents were not bad-looking. By the third generation, for the majority, with the exception of a very few, appearances were not a problem. Secondly, the size of the donkey depended on individual differences. This was something difficult to assess. However, aphrodisiacs were consumed in abundance. As long as there weren't any excessive indulgences, this shouldn't be a problem. Third, they needed to have wealth like Deng Tong. This aspect was the least difficult for these elites. Compared to the hardship of the older generation, the new one found it easy. With the start of reform and opening up, they could easily sell off a bit of something using their power and have enough to splurge. The fourth point, gentle care, was not lacking for those who wished to play with charm and romance. If even this patience was lacking, then it wasn't about elegance anymore, but about bullying women. The fifth is leisure. Everyone needs leisure time. Those who were constantly rushing around for their daily meals simply didn't have the time for love. Nie Zhenbang never lacked in these 5 aspects. To be honest, if it was an ordinary woman, Nie Zhenbang could get many with just a wave of his hand. With the experience of his previous life, Nie Zhenbang knew that with the deepening of reform and opening up, the defense between men and women had completely loosened. In the 21st century, one-night stands were a common thing. "Zhang Shu, what right do you have to represent me?" A crisp and pleasant voice came from Dong Wan's mouth. The crowd instantly made way for her. Stepping into the circle, Dong Wan's face was very calm. Cold, this was Nie Zhenbang's most direct impression of Dong Wan. As expected, an ice beauty. Nie Zhenbang did not expect Dong Wan at this moment to look at him and say gravely, "Nie Zhenbang, right. Everyone says that the third young master of Nie family is an exceptional person in this city. Seeing you now, you're just ordinary. Your vulgar attitude. The business between you and me, you don't need to worry about it, just continue with your sister and Anna." After this sentence, Dong Wan had an implied statement that she did not say, but the meaning was conveyed. "Nie Zhenbang, you're nothing special, I Dong Wan, look down on you. Do not flatter yourself." Hearing this, the crowd gasped, and a hint of joy appeared on Zhang Shu's face. Dong Wan directly swept away Nie Zhenbang's face. Could it be that Dong Wan favored herself? Nie Zhenbang was startled for a moment, then he replied with a nonchalant smile, "I really appreciate your choice. This is the best outcome. It also solves a headache for me. Actually, I came over today to talk to you about this. I was worried about how to say it, but now it seems I've been spared." Nie Zhenbang was no fool. No matter how beautiful a beauty was, she was just a woman. A century later, we are all just skeletons. That's it. Nie Zhenbang was absolutely not the kind of man who would be unable to move his legs at the sight of a woman. Nie Zhenbang's words also stunned Dong Wan. She was always the one rejecting others, but the ice beauty had never been slighted in such a way before. She didn't know what to say for a moment. Glaring at Nie Zhenbang, Dong Wan gave a cold snort, then turned and ran off. At this moment, Zhang Shu's face darkened. If just now Zhang Shu saw Nie Zhenbang as a romantic rival, now Nie Zhenbang was his mortal enemy. He dared to disrespect the goddess in his heart. This made him inconsolable. Moreover, Nie Zhenbang was so arrogant in public, swaggering about, causing his goddess to be insulted. If Zhang Shu didn't stand up for this, then he wouldn't deserve to be the leader of the Central Military Commission's second courtyard. As expected, Zhang Shu stood up again, his face gloomy as he looked at Nie Zhenbang. Apologize to Dong Wan immediately. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." Zhang Shu's attitude also irritated Nie Zhenbang, the antics of these kids. If it was his previous life, he might have been one of them. But in this life, after experiencing the pain and tragedy of the previous one, Nie Zhenbang wouldn't waste a single moment on such trivial matters. Looking at Zhang Shu, he said, "Zhang Shu, right. I have no interest in you whatsoever. Single fight or group fight, pick your choice. Apologize. Beat me first, then we'll talk. But remember, only this time. In the future, I won't have so much time to accompany you. Hey, I've seen crazy folks, but you're a whole new breed. You're ready for a one-on-one fight, and the same goes for a group fight. I, Zhang Shu, am not just anybody. If you lose, apologize to Dong Wan immediately. If you win, we'll let bygones be bygones." Zhang Shu took a step forward, taunting provocatively. "Hey." Nie Zhenbang chuckled, scanned his surroundings, and said, "You want a one-on-one fight? I'll take on all of you. You want a group brawl? I'll brawl with all of you. Cut the dawdling and act like men." As soon as Nie Zhenbang finished speaking, 7 or 8 men from Zhang Shu's side charged forward in fury. Nie Zhenbang's words had struck a nerve. Zhang Shu and his group were vastly superior to Zhou Chen's bunch. Zhou Chen and his crew, their fighting strategy relied solely on bravery. They were all influential figures, audacious enough to crack the sky. They would dare to smash anything over their heads. However, Zhang Shu and his crew were highly skilled. Everything they fought with was the most practical wartime martial arts taught in the military. This had been the toughest and most laborious fight of Nie Zhenbang's life. Nonetheless, Nie Zhenbang's decades-long proficiency in shape-intent fist wasn't for show. Despite the forceful attacks from these men, they lacked Nie Zhenbang's resistance to blows. The measure of a fighter is based on a comprehensive evaluation. After 10 minutes, aside from Zhang Shu, everyone else on his side had fallen and lost their fighting abilities. At this point, Zhang Shu paused, his gaze more focused than before. The admiration in his eyes as he looked at Nie Zhenbang was evident. After a while, he relaxed and said, Nie Zhenbang, you've won. There's no need to continue. Nie Zhenbang also nodded. Zhang Shu was straightforward and, although impulsive, was a real man. By then, everyone on Zhang Shu's side had fallen. The gap in their strength was laid bare. It was just a matter of time before Zhang Shu went down. Immediately, Nie Zhenbang earnestly said, Zhang Shu, well done. You're a real man. I, Nie Zhenbang, acknowledge you as a brother. I have some things to take care of today. Another time, we must share a drink. Then, Nie Zhenbang turned his head towards Nie Zhenbang and the others, saying, all right, let's head to Old Mo's together. Let's taste the charm of Moscow. Moscow Restaurant. This is the most famous foreign restaurant in Jingcheng. Since its opening in 54, it has been considered a symbol of nobility and fashion. The restaurant's fame does not come from its extravagant decor or the fact that national leaders have held banquets there, but from its service. In the early days, all the waitresses were Russian girls, and there were even lipstick and perfume provided in the restrooms. Old Mo's can't exactly be considered a high-end establishment for the younger generation. Yet, many people hadn't visited it before. The group marched into Old Mo's in a grand procession. Next to them, Li Wenozhe started talking, so this is Old Mo's, huh? Doesn't look as fancy as my dad and his friends made it sound. They used to say that if you hadn't dined at Old Mo's, you were not a complete gentleman, even linking it to their spiritual integrity. Is it really that mysterious? Nie Zhenbang laughed as well. Li Wenozhe, what do you know? Our old folks lived in a time of scarcity. Affording to dine here might have meant stealing a fortune from home. Their thrill came from being poor. Right then, Lu Kun looked at Nie Zhenbang curiously, probing, brother, why did you invite us here? We surely didn't come to experience Soviet ambiance. Nie Zhenbang glanced at Lu Kun, admiring him for his quickness of thought and trivia. He was a remarkable talent. Responding, half serious, half jesting, Nie Zhenbang said, hey, it's indeed to get a feel of the Russian ambiance. To get used to Russian cuisine. I plan on going to the Soviet Union. Chapter 44, Great Waves Sift Sand 1. Going to the Soviet Union. Going to the Soviet Union. As soon as these words were spoken, it immediately stunned everyone. Nie Zhenbang secretly pulled Nie Zhenbang aside and whispered, third brother, have you gone mad? Don't you know that our country is in a cold phase with the Soviet Union right now? How are you going to get there? What's your identity? Once there, we don't have an embassy. I'm afraid you might not even know how you died. Nie Zhenbang was somewhat moved by the profound concern Nie Zhenbang was showing. In his previous life, Nie Zhenbang had a strained relationship with his two Nie family brothers, Nie Zhenlei and Nie Zhenbang, who had looked down upon him, the crippled illegitimate child. This time, Nie Zhenbang hadn't fully accepted Nie Zhenlei and Nie Zhenbang from the bottom of his heart either. All he had done in the past was to use them to change the Nie family. However, now, feeling Nie Zhenbang's concern, Nie Zhenbang's attitude changed in an instant. He smiled slightly, patted Nie Zhenbang's hand, and said softly, second brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. The way he called him, second brother, was heartfelt. Nie Zhenbang felt awed as well, and in turn gave Nie Zhenbang a pat laughing and saying, what's with you getting so sentimental? Nie Zhenbang and Nie Zhenbang had just sat down when the conversation began again. Third brother, the current Soviet Union is not our big brother anymore and our relations are not good. Going there might get you arrested on suspicion of espionage. I heard recently that the Soviet Union's Secretary General, Comrade Gorbachev, began to loosen up a bit. Low-level diplomatic contacts have gradually begun. Why do you have to make an issue out of this? These were people who cared about him. Sitting around, the faces of others revealed discomfort. On watching this, Nie Zhenbang couldn't help smiling. This was what Nie Zhenbang intended. The plan to deal with the Soviet Union was not something Nie Zhenbang could accomplish on his own. Although he could connect with some things also required the assistance of others. Those people were merely collaborators. As a result, he needed one or several completely trustworthy people to accompany him. Now, Nie Zhenbang used the process of elimination. Only the true gold is revealed after the sand is washed away. First, he let out the news, then let everyone choose for themselves. Whoever could stay would be trustworthy, because going to the Soviet Union at this time was an extremely risky venture. Nie Zhenbang casually laughed and said, "Haha, it's nothing really. It's just that. I've heard that the Soviet Union is in dire need of food and living supplies, so I'm planning to go over there and see if there are any business opportunities." Nie Zhenbang made it sound so trivial. Selling arms and scientific research materials wouldn't be disclosed, even as the head of the state said to keep it absolutely secret. Nie Zhenbang would never let anything out at this time. Having said that, Nie Zhenbang laughed, "My brothers, enough talk about this. Since we're here, let's enjoy a good meal and get a feel of Russian culture." After the meal, everyone was a bit tipsy from the strong vodka. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang relaxed in his chair. People from Jingcheng are like this, always presenting a courteous and poised demeanor in front of others. But once among like-minded people, everything was different. Everyone acted as they please. "My brothers, in a few days, I'll be going for a visit. Is there anyone who wants to go with me?" Nie Zhenbang asked casually. As his words fell, the room fell silent. Everyone was deep in thought. Soon, a few young men from small families in Jingcheng stood up, looking at Nie Zhenbang sheepishly. "Young Master Nie, there's some stuff going on at home. I'll take my leave." The one who said, "Brother San, I'm sorry. My old man at home has been keeping a close eye on me lately. I have to go home early, so I won't be able to accompany you for long." Following this remark, nearly all of the 20 people who were originally in the private dining room left in a flash. Nie Zhenbang didn't hold any discontent. These people were nothing more than the offspring of the district leaders of Jingcheng, barely considered figures within their circles. But in the eyes of someone like Nie Zhenbang, they were merely a band of idle characters. They were fair-weather friends, commonly found in places of feast and revelry, ready to help in a brawl or join in some fun and games. That was fine, but when it came to matters affecting their own lives and futures, they would disappear faster than anyone else. Don't be fooled when they all seem to gravitate towards you. If your family falls into hard times, you should be grateful if these people don't turn around to kick you. This is the harsh reality within these circles. The children of the elite grow up maturing faster than ordinary folk, largely because they live in such an environment from a young age. At this moment, only 4 people remained in the restaurant. Apart from Nie Zhenbang, Li Teshuki stayed behind, as did Lu Kun. To Nie Zhenbang's surprise, Chen Yu, from the Chen family, had also stayed. Nie Zhenbang didn't have much of an impression of Chen Yu. Chen's father held a position as deputy prime minister at the state council, in charge of economic work, and was a significant figure among the reformists. Chen Yu had a reserved personality. More importantly, he was academically accomplished, which surprised Nie Zhenbang. After taking a look at the 3 men, Nie Zhenbang began to ponder. Li Teshuki was simple-minded and physically strong. But going to the Soviet Union required finesse, and Li Teshuki wasn't suitable for it. It would be a better fit for him to join the military where he could then support Zhenbang. He would be a great asset to Zhenbang in the future. Lu Kun and Chen Yu would be appropriate choices. Yet, upon considering Chen Yu, Nie Zhenbang shook his head. He felt that this scholarly boy was too naive. It wasn't the best timing to go to the Soviet Union now, anything could happen. If Chen Yu went, he might be fine if he stayed there, but would struggle to fend for himself if he ever returned home. So Nie Zhenbang decided against proposing Chen Yu. Having thought it through, Nie Zhenbang came to a decision. He looked at Nie Zhenbang and said, "Old second, you, Teshuki, and Bookworm head back first. I need to have a serious talk with Kun." Nie Zhenbang's plan to go to the Soviet Union quickly spread throughout Jingcheng. At Yuying School, Zhang Shu left the field dripping with sweat after a basketball match. Someone at his side handed him a towel, while another person came over and whispered in his ear, "Shu Shao. Today's news, that boy, Nie Zhenbang, is bored out of his mind. He's planning on going to the Soviet Union. He claims he's going there to help the impoverished and starving Soviet people solve their problems. I think the guy's lost his mind. He's heading right for the barrel of Soviet guns, and I doubt he'll ever make it back." Unlike his lackey, who was reveling in others' misfortune, Zhang Shu was stunned upon hearing this. After a moment, he spoke solemnly, "Nie Zhenbang, a real man. I, Zhang Shu, am no match for him. I can't carry on like this. There's no hope for me going to college now. I've made up my mind. I'm going to join the military this year." Chunan Province. In the remote mountain township of Kaoshan in Yiyang, Chief Zhou had just finished work. When he returned to his dormitory, he found his phone ringing. Upon answering, he was immediately notified, "Chen Xiao, big news. Nie Zhenbang has lost his mind. Word is, he's planning to go to the Soviet Union. Haha, he's just heading to his death. I doubt he'll ever come back." After a few months of trials, Zhou Chen's state of mind has changed a lot. Upon hearing the news from his spy in Jingcheng, Zhou Chen burst into laughter. "Haha, even the heavens are helping me. It's just a shame, a person like that, I should be the one to do away with him. It would be more satisfying to do it myself." Quote. The news of Nie Zhenbang's plans to go to the Soviet Union spread like wildfire in Jingcheng. Some people cared, others watched from the sidelines, and a significant number rejoiced in his misfortune. But Nie Zhenbang paid no mind to any of this. After the in-depth conversation with Lu Kun, both of them had prepared themselves and were just waiting to depart. Chapter 45, The Path of the Profiteer. The term, profiteer, came into prominence only recently. It's a label that carries both honor and disgrace. Originally, in our country, the earliest profiteers were simply individuals who would buy eggs in rural areas and exchange them for food stamps in the cities. Later, with the advent of the dual-track system, they gradually turned to whatever was scarce. Hence, speculation and profiteering was born. After such activities were suppressed domestically, these profiteers turned their attention to the Soviet Union in the north. By this time, it was already April of '87. The early spring was well underway in the northeast, the residual snow was slowly melting and the spring chill was apparent. In the key border town between China and the Soviet Union, Manzhouli. At this instant, a few individuals clad in military uniform were standing at the entrance to the platform of the Manzhouli train station. During this era, the reinstatement of military rank was still under discussion and implementation was not expected until the end of the year. As the train slowly came to a halt, Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun, both wrapped tightly in their overcoats, stepped off the carriage. Upon spotting Nie Zhenbang, the soldiers immediately stepped forward with a standard military salute and thunderously declared, "May I confirm if you are Comrade Nie Zhenbang and Comrade Lu Kun arriving from Jingcheng?" With a grin sweeping across his face, Lu Kun was overjoyed to have left the school with Nie Zhenbang, a place he found unbearably restrictive. Throughout the journey, Lu Kun was exceedingly excited. Cornered by the soldier's serious inquiry, Lu Kun nudged Nie Zhenbang's shoulder, "Brother Nie, seems like we've turned into comrades upon leaving Jingcheng." After confirming Lu Kun as a suitable candidate, Nie Zhenbang had initially intended to ask his father to find a Russian translator. However, when he visited the Lu family, he learned that Lu Kun himself was proficient in Russian, which took Nie Zhenbang by surprise. Nevertheless, considering that Lu Kun's father had spent many years studying in the Soviet Union, particularly at the Frunze Military Academy, and his proficiency in Russian was not surprising. After all, like Nie Zhenbang's father and his generation, Russian was the foreign language they were taught. Nie Zhenbang didn't expect Lu Kun, who had always been sedate in Jingcheng, to become vibrant once he was out in the world. Nie Zhenbang glared at Lu Kun before turning to the soldier, "Comrade officer, I am Nie Zhenbang and this is Lu Kun. You're from the Fengshan military region, right?" The Fengshan military region. It's one of Huasha's 7 major military regions, established with the old foundation of Dongye. Although Nie Zhenbang's grandfather, who used to be its political commissar, remained in the Central Plains area after the army's division, the connections still exist. Later, during the Great Revolution, most of Dongye's army was transferred from the Fengshan military region. However, those who left were replaced. The commander of the 59th Army along the China-Soviet border, Yuan Xinghua, was a subordinate of Nie Zhenbang's grandfather in the Central Plains region. This time, Nie Zhenbang intended to go abroad through Yuan Xinghua. Upon arriving at the 59th Army's garrison, Nie Zhenbang, accompanied by the soldiers, entered the military guest house. Yuan Xinghua was already waiting there. Yuan Xinghua was about 60 years old, with a dark complexion. Although he was not tall, the sharpness in his eyes made Nie Zhenbang tense up. This was someone who had truly experienced battlefield carnage. Nie Zhenbang's tall figure, his nonchalant attitude from the moment he stepped through the door, save for a brief moment of surprise when he saw himself, earned Yuan Xinghua's admiration. Certainly, comparisons are easily shown to be odious. Compared to his own son, Nie Zhenbang, the grandson of his superior, was exceptional, imposing, and extraordinary. Immediately, Yuan Xinghua took large strides forward, a smile on his face. "You must be Zhenbang. You're certainly impressive." At this moment, Nie Zhenbang too had a smile on his lips. "Uncle Yuan, you flatter me. Before I left, my grandfather told me that you are an extraordinary war general. He specifically asked me to bring a few bottles of good liquor for you." With that, Nie Zhenbang took out 2 bottles of special Maotai he'd brought from Jingcheng and handed them over to Yuan Xinghua. If it were just empty words, Yuan Xinghua would let bygones be bygones. But now, things were different. A hint of appreciation colored Yuan Xinghua's face as he accepted the gift from Nie Zhenbang. Handing the present over to the attendant behind him, he said courteously, "The old leader is thoughtful. Even after all these years, he remembers what old Yuan likes. Zhenbang, you must be weary from your journey. I've prepared some light refreshments for you and your young companion to rest and recover. We can discuss detailed arrangements later in the evening." After the meal, Yuan Xinghua set down his chopsticks and took out a pack of special military cigarettes. Turning to Nie Zhenbang, he offered, "Zhenbang, would you like one?" Nie Zhenbang smiled at this point. Commander Yuan didn't put on airs. It was rather unusual for an elder to offer a junior a cigarette. Yuan Xinghua's deportment and character showed an appealing freewheeling air. After lighting up, Yuan Xinghua clapped his hands. Outside, an attendant walked in. Seeing Yuan Xinghua nod slightly, the attendant exited promptly. Returning less than 2 minutes later, he held 2 documents in his hands. Having handed them over to Yuan Xinghua, the attendant left again. Yuan Xinghua slid the documents towards Nie Zhenbang, smiling as he said, "Zhenbang, these are the passports for you and your young compatriot. I will personally take you there at 11 tonight. Someone on the other side has already purchased tickets for you on the international artery." Receiving the documents, Nie Zhenbang smiled. Yuan Xinghua had prepared the passports of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Their names had already been changed. Nie Zhenbang was now Kim Jung-sung, and Lu Kun was Kui Yongxian. Third brother, these names are well chosen. Now, I feel like we are special agents being deployed. Lu Kun joked lightheartedly. Nie Zhenbang also started to smile at this point. Although the upcoming journey was fraught with difficulties, it was far less terrifying than what the outside world had imagined. Only those like Nie Zhenbang who had witnessed the aftermath of the Soviet Army's corruption knew its true severity. In the 90s, a truckload of watermelons could be traded for a tank. This was hardly an unusual occurrence in those times. Although the chaos of the Soviet Union at this point wasn't so severe, Nie Zhenbang had faith. If an egg has a crack, he was confident he could get in. Having a new identity would allow him to act above board in the Soviet Union. On the side, Yuan Xinghua clapped his hands again, and 2 robust men entered from outside. Noticing Nie Zhenbang's surprised look, Yuan Xinghua explained with a smile, "Zhenbang, this was ordered by the old leader. These men are from our Tiger Group. They are experts in combat, firearms, driving and various other skills. They will accompany you on this trip. Someone is waiting for you over there. Along the way, they will assist you until you safely arrive in Moscow." Upon hearing this, Nie Zhenbang was somewhat moved. The old man had a bark worse than his bite. Although he didn't reveal much, it was evident from this gesture how much concern he had for Nie Zhenbang's safety. Nie Zhenbang immediately stood up, examining the 2 men beside him. Both were about 1.75 meters tall, with lean bodies. Even while casually standing, they radiated a potential for immense strength. Nie Zhenbang inwardly let out a sigh of admiration. These men were the best of the best. At 11 in the evening, the China-Soviet border was peaceful at this hour. In the pitch-black darkness, the boundary markers representing the borders of the two countries towered, with their vivid national emblems standing stark against the snow. "Commander, the Soviet patrol unit just passed by." Upon seeing Yuan Xinghua arrive, the soldier patrolling the national defense line immediately saluted and reported. Yuan Xinghua nodded and returned the military salute. He then turned towards Nie Zhenbang and said, "Zhenbang, uncle can only escort you this far. Be cautious on your journey. I wish you success." Under the guidance of the two escorts, the group quickly crossed the national border. Seeing Lu Kun gasping slightly with a bit of nervousness, Nie Zhenbang teased him in a low voice, "Kun, no, comrade Kui Yongxian, our international massive reversal journey has just begun. P.S. Thanks to book friends 100,514,212,357,550, Doraemon 1234, BNM 123, and Maple CSU for their generous contributions, and to book friend 100,514,212,357,550 for the rating. Tomorrow there will be an update of over 12,000 words, surprisingly with 14 votes. Damn, guys, you're tough. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 46, Beautiful Girl Chasing After Guy. The international traffic line from Jingcheng, via Mongolia to Moscow, spans nearly 9,000 kilometers. When Nie Zhenbang and the others arrived at Chita in the Soviet Union, a long train stood parked at the platform. The crowding throngs of commuters all bore the same characteristic: they were mostly jammed onto the train with enormous parcels in tow. Our four protagonists stood in front of the platform. Compared to the rest, their lightly equipped nature often prompted sideways glances from passers-by. "Young master, the railroads in the Soviet Union all have broad gauges. As the old platoon have said, when Warsaw and the Soviet Union had closer relations, the railroad originating from Jingcheng had to switch tracks once they reached the port of Mongolia. Young master, let's go, the person picking us up is on carriage number 5. Among the two guards, the slightly more robust one was speaking. His name was Long, and his leaner counterpart was called Tiger. When they walked towards carriage 5, a man around 30 years old was already waiting. Upon seeing Long and Tiger, the man's eyes brightened and he advanced to meet them, smiling as he said, "Long, I have been waiting for you for quite some time. Come, let us board together. The sleeping cabins have already been arranged." The group entered the carriage and, after closing the cabin door, the man cheerily said, "Su Junhua, my Russian name is Azimov." Nie Zhenbang was also sizing up this middle-aged man with a typical Russian face who spoke fluent northeastern dialect. Such fluency wasn't foreign but innate, from his very marrow. Moreover, his habits were typically that of a Warsaw native. Upon seeing Nie Zhenbang's expression, Su Junhua also chuckled, "You must be puzzled, brother. The truth is, many of the Russians on this train, including myself, are actually Warsaw people. We are of Russian descent. It's more convenient for us to move around in the Soviet Union. Here, we have full legal Soviet identities." Since the early 80s, with the increasing economic pressure on the Soviet Union, many Russians in Mongolia had started trading across the border. Relying on their Russian appearances, these people were essentially the first group of international speculators in Warsaw. Nie Zhenbang nodded and said, "Brother Su, thank you for your troubles this time. My surname is Nie, third in the family. Usually, you can simply call me, the third one." Half an hour after the train stopped at Chita, it slowly accelerated again at the sound of a long whistle. Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun were both a little excited at this moment, sitting by the window and observing the night scenery outside. After a while, their excitement waned, and they went to bed. About 5 hours into the journey, at dawn, the train finally slowed to a halt. Then, Su Junhua and his men took out numerous items from the bags underneath their beds, placing some of them on the windowsills and carrying the others off the train. At the same time, the crowd on the platform began to swarm. They haggled over a leather jacket, a down jacket, or some daily necessities. This was the life of a speculator. Nie Zhenbang had already risen early. As the train was about to arrive at the station, he sat up in his bed due to the reduction in speed. His alertness, honed by years of martial arts practice, was no less than that of Long or Tigers. They were both well-trained special forces. Following Su Junhua, Nie Zhenbang also got off. At that moment, a striking figure in bright red entered his line of sight. This classic Russian face belonged to a blonde woman with finely sculpted features and fair skin. She was tall, about 5 feet and 9 inches. She was holding a wooden plate full of odds and ends. As she got off the train, she called out for customers in fluent Russian, peddling her wares eagerly. Meanwhile, Su Junhua had already exchanged the 2 leather jackets in his hands for rubles. It must be said that at this time, it was not like a few years later when the currency dealers no longer accepted rubles. The most steadfast currency then was the US dollar. The renminbi would also do. Rubles, however, were not in demand anymore. But at this moment, the ruble was still the main currency used in transactions. He quickly counted the rubles in his hand, then tucked the money into the inner pocket of his jacket. Su Junhua raised his head and saw Nie Zhenbang in a daze. Looking to the side, he saw a fiery figure. Su Junhua then walked over with a smile. "Young Master Nie, look at that girl. She is quite the celebrity on this train ride. She's only 23, but she's already spent close to 6 years on the train. She's one of the first to travel to the Soviet Union. Oh, she started when she was 17. Alone. Is she like you, having both a Washa and Soviet identity?" Nie Zhenbang, now interested, continued to inquire. "The train's stop here lasts about 10 minutes, and it's just been 2 minutes, so there is plenty of time left." Su Junhua took out a cigarette, handed it to Nie Zhenbang, and after lighting one for himself, took a drag, laughing. "Young Master Nie, as you know, our Soviet identities are all fake. They merely serve to deal with the train conductors. Once we arrive in Moscow, we all gather at Asta. After selling our goods, we immediately head back. We hardly ever stay long in the Soviet Union. This girl's name in Washa is Li Lishui, but we usually call her by her Russian name, Evelina. Among this line of work, she is considered my senior. Allegedly, she was introduced to this business by the famous 6th master from our area. Later, in a robbery, the 6th master was killed. After that, I haven't heard of Evelina partnering with anyone else. She usually works alone," Su Junhua said, with a certain amount of admiration. "No one on this route, whether now or in the future, when the currency dealers will thrive, can claim they haven't been robbed. That's the reality in the Soviet Union. The worse it gets, the more it demonstrates the changing situation in the Soviet Union. It's something Nie Zhenbang should be happy about." Nie Zhenbang nodded in agreement. Any person who is tirelessly self-improving deserves respect. Nie Zhenbang never considered himself as such. In his previous life, after he became disabled, his heart too was crippled. In the end, he was unwilling to face reality and chose to commit suicide to escape it. Fortunately, he got a chance to start over. Since his reincarnation, Nie Zhenbang has strived to become a person who is continuously self-improving. While there's life, there's fight. Brother Su, why did it seems not many people are buying from her? Nie Zhenbang once again asked out of curiosity. But at this moment, before Su Junhua could reply, Nie Zhenbang suddenly rushed out. Long, who was less than 3 meters away from Nie Zhenbang, promptly followed. Su Junhua turned around and saw that only a wooden plate where Evelina had been remains. Evelina had been dragged away by 2 burly Russian men towards a narrow alley next to the platform. Seeing this, Su Junhua violently flicked his cigarette on the ground. "Damn, robbers." Immediately, Su Junhua shouted, "Brothers, grab your weapons. Evelina has been kidnapped." Quote. Chapter 47, The Imposter Crown Prince. Nie Zhenbang's speed was far beyond ordinary people. Evelina had just been dragged into the alley. The 2 Russian men hadn't laid a hand yet, but Nie Zhenbang already appeared at the entrance. Seeing these 2, a line of Russian slipped from Nie Zhenbang's mouth. "Stop." These simple everyday words were what Nie Zhenbang had learned on the way with Lu Kun. After all, being abroad, understanding a few phrases could come in handy. The 2 men were both tall and robust, typical features of Russian men. Even their physiques leaned towards those of Russian strongmen. Hearing Nie Zhenbang speak, one of the men immediately showed a fierce expression on his face, swearing rapidly in Russian. Nie Zhenbang didn't understand a single word he was saying, but he did understand the phrase, "your mother." According to Lu Kun's logic, in any language, the easiest and most memorable phrases to learn are usually the ones for swearing. Unfortunately, Lu Kun had told Nie Zhenbang all the Russian swear words he knew. Nie Zhenbang's face darkened. His biological mother and stepmother were two people he would not allow to be insulted. His biological mother held a fragile position in his heart. If anyone threatened her in this life, Nie Zhenbang would undoubtedly fight with his life. As for his stepmother, Yi Shushan, this life was in stark contrast to his previous one. In his previous life, he was handicapped and she was indifferent. But in this life, Yi Shushan had been nurturing him with great care. Without further ado, Nie Zhenbang charged forward, letting out a roar, using tiger-shaped boxing, a common move in his shape-intent fist with the highest lethality. The man was instantly knocked down by the powerful impact. Seeing his companion fall, the other man also charged forward, yelling. Nie Zhenbang snorted, observing the charging man. Without any proper technique and relying solely on brute strength, Nie Zhenbang could easily take down 10 of him. Ignorant fools, rushing towards death. Today, I will show you that the people of Huasha are not to be bullied. Nie Zhenbang leapt up in the air, a kick landing squarely on the man's chest, knocking him down deftly. At this moment, Long happened to witness all this and mumbled in surprise, with the young master being so capable, why did the commander send us to protect him? However, Long immediately followed up, crouching swiftly, and searched the two men. 2 handguns were taken out from their pockets. Seeing this, Nie Zhenbang also felt a hint of fright. He hadn't expected the 2 men to be armed. Fortunately, they were too careless to even consider using their guns, deeming him an easy target. On the side, Evelina was already sitting on the ground, somewhat unsettled. Earlier, Evelina had been too eager. Her merchandise, after running for so many years due to its low cost and oversaturation, had lowered her business. Just now, the 2 men claimed they had a big deal to talk about, making Evelina follow them here. Initially, believing herself protected in view of so many people, yet shockingly encountering disaster instead. Are you okay, Li Lishui? Nie Zhenbang approached Evelina, reaching out his right hand towards her. Seeing Evelina's state, Nie Zhenbang smiled, showing no awkwardness. Before just now, I asked Brother Su. It was him who told me your name. To be honest, I admire your spirit, a girl traveling such a dangerous route alone. You are impressive. But Li Lishui managed to stand up by herself at the moment, ignoring Nie Zhenbang's goodwill. After straightening her clothes, Li Lishui said coldly, there's nothing impressive about it. Anyone can do it for the sake of survival. As Su Junhua, Lu Kun, Tiger, and others hurried over, workers from the platform and train police also followed. Seeing the 2 men lying on the ground in the alley, the Soviet police hesitated at first, then looked around at everyone, his gaze finally settling on Nie Zhenbang. A person of Asian descent. At this time, due to the tension in China-Soviet relations, Soviets from top to bottom had no good impression of Huasha or Asians. In such a situation, if it were a Russian, it would probably be downplayed. However, seeing the 4 Asians, Nie Zhenbang, Lu Kun, Long, and Tiger, the policeman's face darkened, and he sternly asked, did you guys knock these 2 out? Li Lishui was about to go back to pack up her wooden tray, then board the train. When she heard this, she stopped immediately, turned around, and said, Sir, a moment ago, these 2 men were trying to rob me. It was this gentleman who helped me before the 2 robbers could succeed. I hope you could go easy on these fellows, please. Listening to Li Lishui's story, the Soviet police officer's face darkened, and he said instantly, filthy liar. Do you think I don't know who you are? You've been on this train so many times, I know it well. You'd better not meddle in this, or else, bear the consequences. In fact, train officers were well aware of passengers like Su Junhua. But the ordinary traders bribed them generously and they turned a blind eye. At this moment, Li Lishui's words just angered him. Su Junhua became anxious at this moment, walked up to the police, and was about to hand over some rubles. But before Su Junhua could speak, the policeman said again, Azimov, this is none of your business. You all, leave right away, or else, don't blame me for being rude. Most of the spectators had left by now. At this time, only Su Junhua, Li Lishui, as well as themselves were left. Su Junhua's loyalty, and the fact that Li Lishui had stayed behind, made Nie Zhenbang pause, and his opinion of these two changed quite a bit. At this moment, Lu Kun had an idea and walked up to the police, speaking sternly, "Scum, what are you? How dare you talk to us like that? We are from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. This man, he is the little son of Chairman Kim, Comrade Kim Jung-sung of our National Defense Committee, and I am the son of General Kui of the Ministry of National Defense of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kui Yongxian. What? Is it a crime for us to save one of your countrymen? We will lodge a complaint with your Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Do you want to cause a diplomatic incident?" Lu Kun's voice was loud and firm, and his proficient Russian, coupled with his arrogant demeanor, left the Soviet police stunned where he stood. Nie Zhenbang noticed the police officer's hesitation at the moment and signaled to Lu Kun. Lu Kun understood and nodded, handing over the passports. 4 passports, well faked. This showed Nie Zhenbang's absolute trust in Yuan Xinghua. If any random person could tell, Yuan Xinghua wouldn't be skilled. Indeed, after the Soviet police officer had taken the passports and looked at them for a while, he saw the red steel seals of the direct guarding troops of the Ministry of National Defense of North Korea on Long and Tiger's passports. The Soviet police officer began to show respect. Looking again at Nie Zhenbang, the Soviet police officer was even more respectful. The son of North Korea's supreme leader. He was indeed an elite. When in Moscow, even Secretary Gorbachev might have to meet him. Such people have an air around them that ordinary people can't mimic. The more the Soviet officer looked at Nie Zhenbang, the more he felt that Nie Zhenbang had the demeanor of a crown prince. Then, the Soviet police officer smiled and said, "Comrade Kim Jung-sung, welcome to the Soviet Union. Sorry to trouble you." At the side, Lu Kun started doing an accurate translation. At this moment, the two robbers had to face the wrath of the Soviet police. These two guys nearly got him involved in a diplomatic dispute. With a grim face, the policeman said to the men behind him, "Get them to the local station. Conduct a thorough investigation." Nie Zhenbang and his group took turns returning to the train. Seeing Li Lishui walking towards the hard seat, Nie Zhenbang felt a sudden pang in his heart, and blurted out, "Li Lishui, if you don't mind, shall we go to the dining car and have a chat?" Chapter 48, Exorbitant High Salary. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang's gaze was genuine. Inviting Li Lishui to dinner, his intentions were pure. He simply considered Li Lishui someone worthy of admiration. This was just a meal and had nothing to do with gender. Looking at Nie Zhenbang, Li Lishui fell silent for a moment. She finally agreed and nodded, saying, "All right. In half an hour, let's meet in the dining car." Upon hearing these words, Nie Zhenbang also nodded with a smile, "Okay, half an hour later. See you there, or be square." As soon as he boarded the train, Lu Kun rushed up to him, "Brother, it's rare to see you so captivated. Even in front of Dong Wan, you never show any admiration. But today is quite different. I have to admit though, this lady is no less impressive than Dong Wan. As the saying goes, spring flowers and autumn moon both have their own beauty. Need me to clear some space for you two tonight?" Looking at Lu Kun's playful behavior, Nie Zhenbang also laughed, saying in teasing reproach, "What are you blabbering about? I haven't even thought about it yet. Better deal with the matters at hand first." Having said that, he turned to Su Junhua on the side. "Su, there is something else I need your help with. Please book another sleeper cabin for me, preferably one next to ours." Su Junhua paused for a moment, then quickly understood. It seems that young Nie is tailing after Li Lishui. No wonder, among the peddlers who travel this route, who isn't attracted by Li Lishui. Otherwise, when Li Lishui was being robbed just now, so many would not have abandoned their business to rush over to help. This does not mean that Huasha's people are indifferent. After a few years, once their status is legalized, the people of Huasha are actually quite united. Misunderstandings and rivalries within the community are not made public. But there's unity when dealing with outsiders. At this time, those running this route are walking on a tightrope. Any conductor or patrol officer could make trouble for them. Everyone knows that there are two things you should not do when traveling to the Soviet Union. First, don't draw attention. Just keep your head down and make a quiet living. Secondly, don't offend the patrol officers. The dining car was in the 9th carriage. By the time Nie Zhenbang and his companions arrived, Li Lishui was already waiting inside. When Nie Zhenbang and his companions approached, Li Lishui stood up and said to the waiter, "Waiter, please serve the dishes." Then, Li Lishui explained with a smile, "I do not know how I should address you, brother. But to express my gratitude, how about I treat you all to this meal?" As soon as she finished speaking, Lu Kun was about to interject, but was stopped by Nie Zhenbang. Observing Li Lishui's expression, she seemed determined to pay for the meal. She is a stubborn girl, indeed. It seems like she doesn't want to owe anybody a favor. Thinking about it, how could such a beautiful young girl not be stubborn and tenacious? If she did not have such a spirit, she would have long been lost on this extensive route. With Li Lishui's looks, she could easily find a powerful trafficker to lean on. Any man would be willing to accept Li Lishui. However, even a person like Su Junhua admits that Li Lishui insists on running independently. This is ample proof that this woman's inner strength and obstinacy. Subsequently, Nie Zhenbang calmly sat down and said to Li Lishui, "Well, in that case, we will gladly accept your hospitality. But let me make it clear first, originally, it was I who intended to invite you all for the meal. If you insist on treating us instead, I won't stop you. However, I happen to have a vacant sleeping berth here. It's a long 6 days and nights on this train. It's only beginning, and it will be tough. Later, you can move your goods to the sleeping berth. If you agree, we'll accept your invite for this meal. If you don't, we'll leave immediately. It will be like you never met us before. From then on, we'll be strangers. What do you say?" Seeing Nie Zhenbang's steadfast gaze, this man, who seemed gentle on the surface, exuded a remarkably strong and unyielding demeanor. A personality familiar to Li Lishui, because she herself was of the same temperament. Originally, Li Lishui, who never accepted any goodwill, nodded like she was being influenced by an unknown force. Okay. The food wasn't a grand meal. Given Li Lishui's means, it wouldn't have been possible to afford such a feast. It was simply an ordinary Russian meal. The alcohol was standard vodka. This fiery spirit is absolutely not for the faint-hearted. Yet outlandishly, Li Lishui's capacity for alcohol was quite startling. In the end, she had engaged in a drinking duel with Nie Zhenbang. Both of them had downed nearly 2 bottles of vodka. Even with Nie Zhenbang's drinking prowess, he was feeling somewhat tipsy at this point. As for Li Lishui at this moment, her face was simply a bit flushed. Afterward, Long and Tiger acted swiftly and efficiently, moving Li Lishui's 2 large bags of goods to the sleeper carriage. Li Lishui had just sat down when Su Junhua stood up and said, "Young master, you guys carry on. I'll go to the front of the car to have a cigarette and come back later." At Lu Kun's signal, Long and Tiger too had made excuses to leave, such as going to the restroom or stepping out to have a smoke. Seeing everyone behaving in this manner, Nie Zhenbang couldn't help but laugh. Now in the compartment, it was only Nie Zhenbang and Li Lishui left. The Soviet Union's train was a kind of broad-gauge train. The carriages were roomier than ordinary ones. Sleeper cars weren't open like those domestically. On these trains, whether it were for soft or hard sleepers, each compartment had a door, like an enclosed mini-environment. Seeing Li Lishui looking slightly uneasy, Nie Zhenbang laughed and said, "Haha, I thought you really had nerves of steel. Never did I expect that the famous Evelina would get scared too." These words immediately incited a strong reaction from Li Lishui. Perhaps, it was the alcohol. Her blushing face made Li Lishui seem more charming. She shot Nie Zhenbang a glare and immediately pouted, "Who's scared of you? I've just had too much to drink, that's all." From the start, Nie Zhenbang had only seen Li Lishui's strong side. He hadn't expected that this sturdy-looking woman could also be so adorable. He immediately burst out laughing. Seeing that Li Lishui was starting to get annoyed, Nie Zhenbang cleverly toned it down and said seriously, looking at Li Lishui, "Li Lishui, do you know why I regard you differently?" Upon hearing these words, a hint of contempt flashed across Li Lishui's face. Seemingly, many people had already said something similar. However, Nie Zhenbang noticed this fleeting expression and said with a smile, "Li Lishui, I believe you're good at keeping secrets. To introduce myself, I'm from Jingcheng. Although I'm here in the Soviet Union to dabble in business, I'm still new here. Seeing that I'm unfamiliar with the circumstances here, I must find someone suitable who is well acquainted with the Soviet Union to assist me. It's purely coincidental that you've caught my eye. As soon as he finished speaking, Nie Zhenbang realized that his last statement seemed somewhat ambiguous. Indeed, Li Lishui blushed slightly. However, the shyness quickly disappeared. She calmly looked at Nie Zhenbang and said, "There are plenty of people familiar with the Soviet Union. For example, Su. So why choose me? I do small-scale business. I don't know as many people as Su. I am not the best candidate. Young master, you're involved in major operations, you better find someone else." Upon hearing this, Nie Zhenbang replied calmly, lighting up a special, panda, cigarette, and after taking a puff, said to Li Lishui in a commanding tone, "There's no specific reason. It's because of your personality. Su is not bad, but those people he knows mean nothing to my business. What I need is not a network, but how to develop new ones. I believe you have what it takes. Let's put it like this, how much do you earn a year? $30,000. Well, if you work for me, as my assistant, starting from now, every year, I'll give you $300,000. You don't have to worry about the goods and the transportation. All you need to do is assist me with matters here. Interested?" Upon hearing this, Li Lishui was stunned. $30,000, that's what people like Su Junhua make. For herself, making $10,000 a year would already be considered good business. 300,000, to her, that was a huge sum. Chapter 49, General Aselev. $300,000. This price did not make Li Lishui lose her bearings. She remembered the words of the man who introduced her to the business, sixth grandfather, who had once told her that there is no such thing as unconditional love in this world. Sixth grandfather, a legendary figure in the world of the hawkers. The biggest wholesaler in the Asta market. Unfortunately, he's gone now. Many people thought Li Lishui was sixth grandfather's lover. But what they didn't know was that the sixth grandfather was a close friend of Li Lishui's father. "Third brother, why are you offering such a high salary? The income you calculated belongs to brother Su and others. I don't have much capital. My annual income is approximately between $5,000 and $8,000. 60 times that amount, do you think it's worth it? Perhaps my contribution is not that obvious. Someone once told me that there is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If you want me to do that kind of job, I cannot agree." Li Lishui looked at Nie Zhenbang and asked. Being self-aware, quickly positioning herself knowing her own role, Li Lishui's attitude impressed Nie Zhenbang. The way this woman behaved only made him more pleased with her. If at first, Nie Zhenbang valued Li Lishui's beauty as an advantage in business negotiations, now, Nie Zhenbang recognized Li Lishui's abilities. Soon after, Nie Zhenbang also laughed, looking at Li Lishui and said, "Li Shui, we are familiar with each other now. It's okay to address you like this, isn't it?" Li Lishui's face blushed at this affectionate address, but she agreed, nodding her head. Nie Zhenbang continued, "Given your abilities, your performance, and your familiarity with the entire China-Soviet trade, $50,000 a year is a reasonable price. Do you know why I am giving you so much?" At this point, Nie Zhenbang raised two fingers, smiled lightly and said, "2 reasons. First, your potential is worth this price. Don't underestimate your business because it's small right now. You lack opportunities and capital. If you could find the source of the goods and the funds, your business would surpass any hawker. I am capable of recognizing this potential. Secondly, I feel that a girl from a financially difficult household has a tough time outside alone, so I am giving you a bit more. Are you satisfied with these reasons?" Li Lishui chose to ignore the first reason, as she was stunned by the second one. Her clothing and appearance were of a reasonable standard. No one amongst the hawkers on the train knew about her financial circumstances, other than the fact that she traveled in the lower berth. Many of the rich hawkers too traveled in the lower berths to save money. Everyone believed that she was hiding her wealth. How did he know? Li Lishui blurted out, "How did you know?" Nie Zhenbang laughed at her reaction. Since they had met, Li Lishui had always appeared calm and steady. This was the first time he had seen her this agitated. He proceeded to laugh and said, "Hiding one's wealth is an inherent mindset of your circle. I am an outsider, so it's easier for me to see clearly. From my point of view, if you are traveling in the lower berth, it implies that you either can't afford anything else, or you are saving money. Additionally, although your clothes are average, the items you buy are low-profit daily necessities. Also, seeing how hard you tried to sell things on the platform, and almost getting robbed for a potential deal, I realized that your family's circumstances must not be good. Otherwise, no family would let a girl of 17 become a hawker. Li Lishui fell silent. This man was terrifying. Judging by the company he kept, he was a person of high status. His excellent skills and keen observation power made Li Lishui feel powerless for the first time. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang stood up, and with an aura of dominance, declared, "The matter is decided then. You won't sell anything during this part of the journey. Once we reach Asta, dispose of your goods as quickly as possible, and then we can begin formal work." Afterwards, Li Lishui didn't leave. Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun, after their initial curiosity and excitement, also lost interest. This was a long journey, lasting 6 days and nights. It may well be the longest single-trip train in the world. The car stopped at the Moscow railway station. Su Junhua had also packed up his goods. From 5 large bags of goods that he started with, Su Junhua had already sold quite a bit along the way. By the time they got to the station, only 1 bag of goods was left. Long and Tiger also carried 2 large bags on their backs at this moment. These were Li Lishui's goods. The group, imposing in their numbers, entered Asta Market. Here, it was a hub for Washaw goods and businessmen. The most conspicuous buildings were the houses assembled from 2 containers. Around them, many locals had built tents. Asta at this point was far from being as bustling as it would be after the normalization of China-Soviet relations. Li Lishui had been running this operation for many years and naturally had her own connections. She quickly found a Washaw businessman who often stayed in that place, and sold her goods at almost cost price. This once again made Nie Zhenbang admire her. This woman could indeed be called extraordinary. She could dispose of such important goods without much effort. Her decisive actions showed she was someone who could handle big affairs. The Metropole Hotel was a 5-star hotel near the Kremlin Palace located in the center of Moscow. It was close to the Moscow Grand Theater and the Soviet Union National History Museum, and not too far from the Kremlin Palace. This hotel was on par with Capitol Restaurant in terms of its scale during this era. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang and his group had changed into new outfits. Long and Tiger were both dressed in dark-colored woolen coats with fur collars, Lu Kun wore a wolf fur coat, and Nie Zhenbang himself had changed into a black mink coat. Li Lishui, however, was wearing a fiery fox fur coat. Her high-quality clothes emphasized her elegant aura. Nie Zhenbang made a gesture for her to take his arm and looked at a somewhat embarrassed Li Lishui, saying, "Evelina, my current identity is Kim Jung-sung from North Korea. Lu Kun is my assistant, Long and Tiger are my bodyguards, arm." Nie Zhenbang had a tall and well-proportioned figure of about 1.83 meters. Despite his young age, he had a mature face. Standing beside Li Lishui, they complemented each other well. Li Lishui's face flashed with blush, her cheeks a little red. She hesitated for a second, but still took Nie Zhenbang's arm. The group boldly walked into the hotel. Lu Kun, who had already checked in, greeted them, "Master Nie, the rooms have been arranged. The 505 and 506 suites on the 5th floor. It seems that you and Miss Li will have to share a room tonight." Nie Zhenbang didn't think much of it. There were only 2 rooms left in the hotel. It couldn't be helped. He waved his hand and said, "Kun, let's not discuss such trivial matters. Have you called General Aselev?" General Aselev was the vice chief of staff of the Soviet Union's general staff. He was an old friend of Nie Zhenbang's grandfather. In the Soviet military, he was quite influential. This time, when Nie Zhenbang came over, the old man introduced Nie Zhenbang to his old contact. As it was Nie Zhenbang's first visit, he was unfamiliar with the place. Even if Nie Zhenbang knew about the future, he had no connections, but if he could connect with Aselev, the path to the future would be much smoother. Lu Kun quickly replied with a serious face, "I just borrowed a phone from the hotel reception and called him. I made an appointment with the general and told him you will visit him later." When Aselev learned that you are the grandson of your grandfather, he was very pleased and said he would send a car immediately. Just at this time, outside, two gas jeeps with Soviet military license plates pulled up at the hotel entrance, and two servicemen got off the car. Upon entering the lobby, their eyes immediately focused on Nie Zhenbang and they marched straight toward him. Chapter 50, Soviet Union Crown Prince Party. Excuse me, are you Comrade Kim Jong-sung's group? I am General Asilev's aide-de-camp, Vladimir Nemofov. The leading officer saluted Nie Zhenbang and then inquired. With the translation from Lu Kun beside him, there was no problem in communication between Nie Zhenbang and Nemofov. Nie Zhenbang stepped forward and extended his hand. Colonel Nemofov, I am Kim Jong-sung. Although Lu Kun had already stated this on the phone, outside, Nie Zhenbang still used his pseudonym. After all, at this time, the thaw between China and the Soviet Union had just begun. Not only would being too open affect Aselev, but Nie Zhenbang himself was also likely to run into trouble. After all, in this era, the Soviet Union's KGB was a world-renowned intelligence organization. The group hurriedly boarded the military vehicle, and after turning two main streets, they entered a military-restricted area. This was where the Soviet Union's General Staff was stationed. As the deputy chief of the General Staff, Aselev was also qualified to live here. The car stopped at the entrance of a Soviet-style villa. As soon as Nie Zhenbang got out of the car, he saw a white-haired old man at the door greeting him with a smile. Before Nie Zhenbang could speak, Aselev said with a smile, "My child, welcome. How is your grandfather? We haven't seen each other for 32 years since 1954. Nie Zhenbang also greeted him. Regardless of Asilev's friendship with his grandfather had many connections in the Soviet Union, but he only introduced Aselev, which showed that their relationship was extraordinary. Now it seems that Aselev personally receiving him in such a situation further proves Nie Zhenbang's guess. Then, Nie Zhenbang also smiled and said, "Grandpa Aselev, thank you very much for your warm hospitality. This is something my grandfather asked me to give you." With that, Nie Zhenbang took a photo from his pocket. It was a black and white picture. There were no people in the picture, just a scene of an explosion. The huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky, radiating almost dazzling brilliance. The surrounding sky faded in comparison. Seeing this photo, Aselev laughed. It was just an ordinary photo, but the old general treasured it and put it in his pocket. At this moment, Aselev seemed to be lost in memories and murmured, "Nuclear weapons, I heard that you made them long ago. I didn't expect that Mr. Nie is still so competitive. That time, we, the Soviet Union, really wronged you." Hearing this, Nie Zhenbang was also stunned. In the 1950s, the event of the Soviet Union withdrawing all experts indeed wronged them. "My child, let's not discuss this anymore. Come in. To welcome your arrival, our whole family is quite eager." Aselev then chuckled. Following Aselev into the spacious living room of the villa, there were already many people sitting in the room. A few middle-aged people huddled together, whispering from time to time. A group of young people, ranging from a few years old to their teens or 20s, also directed their gazes towards Nie Zhenbang. Aselev coughed and then laughed. "Children, this is Nie Zhenbang from Warsaw, and the grandson of Uncle Nie." The middle-aged people might all have met Nie Zhenbang's grandfather. In fact, two of the slightly older ones had already come over. "My God, are you Guowei's child? You've grown so big." "Peter, of course, back in the day. When you and Guowei first met, you were both only 5 years old. But now, you're a father of 5 children. Do you think it's still like when you were playing with Guowei in Warsaw?" said a middle-aged man next to him, laughing. A traditional Russian feast. Even though the Aselev family had been very sincere, Nie Zhenbang found himself somewhat listless. The whole thing felt like a formality. Maybe he had been too naive. Originally, Nie Zhenbang thought that once in the Soviet Union, he could just pick anyone from the streets, win them over, and get whatever he wanted. But it was only after he arrived in the Soviet Union that Nie Zhenbang realized he had overestimated the situation. The Soviet Union at this time, although somewhat chaotic, was not quite as chaotic as it would be in a few years. The military and government systems were still running efficiently. People's emotions were high, but they had not yet reached a boiling point. Right now, it was still simmering. During this time, Comrade Yeltsin, the main architect of the Soviet Union's collapse, was just beginning to be recognized by Gorbachev and had been appointed as the secretary of the Communist Party of Soviet Union. He was a candidate member of the Moscow City's first committee secretary. Moreover, it is estimated that by October of this year, Comrade Yeltsin would be sent by Comrade Gorbachev to the building committee to serve as the first chairman. Without Yeltsin stirring up trouble in Russia, the regime of the Soviet Union was still more or less stable. However, a few years later, as Yeltsin gradually became more powerful, the Soviet military and political officials began to feel threatened. They gradually began to accept bribes and sell anything within their reach. With these worries in mind, Nie Zhenbang naturally had little appetite. When he left, it was a well-known uproar in Jingcheng. If he went back downcast like this, losing face would be the least of his problems. If his and the Nie family's reputation were negatively affected, it would, in turn, affect the entire reformist faction. This was Nie Zhenbang's biggest concern. Just then, the young lad sitting next to Nie Zhenbang, who appeared to be about 23 or 24 years old, leant over towards Nie Zhenbang, and spoke softly in his ear, "Nie, it is a pleasure to meet you. I've heard my father talk about your father. They were good friends. I think, as their descendants, we should continue this friendship. Let me introduce myself, my name is Ganukovich. My father is Peter from Sukhoi Design Bureau." Next to him, Lu Kun translated Ganukovich's words, and then added, "Third brother, this is a member of the Soviet Union's, right? Sukhoi Design Bureau." Upon hearing these two terms, Nie Zhenbang was taken aback, and his thoughts suddenly became clearer. Yes, since there are no other leads at the moment, the approach might be a good option. And conveniently, the Peter with whom his father had a close relationship was from the Sukhoi Design Bureau. Surely, with the old man Aselev around, his position must be significant. This is the company that designs the Su series fighter aircraft. If they can get detailed information, the domestic military research units could leapfrog the current stage and catch up immediately. With these thoughts in mind, Nie Zhenbang turned to Lu Kun and said, "Kun, tell him right away that I am also delighted to meet him. And to honor the traditional friendship between our two families, I would like to invite him out. He can choose the place." When Lu Kun translated Nie Zhenbang's intentions to him, Ganukovich laughed and replied, "Zhenbang, you're too kind. Tonight, let's have fun at a nightclub." This young man certainly didn't waste any time. He took the opportunity and jumped right on it. However, Nie Zhenbang wasn't upset. He had brought plenty of money for this trip, the purpose of which was to spend it. At the moment, he couldn't have hoped for a better response from Ganukovich. He laughed and said, "Of course. I'm curious to experience Soviet nightlife. Ganukovich, I'm relying on you to arrange my time in the Soviet Union. Don't worry, money is not a problem." Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Continue. Chapter 51, Doing Too Poorly. "Ganukovich, what are you up to? Do you have any schemes?" Suddenly, Aselev from the main seat asked. Next to him, Ganukovich's father Peter looked serious. Seeing Ganukovich's frightened look, Nie Zhenbang couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that whether in their own country or abroad, these offspring of high-ranking officials shared the trait of being going big outside while behaving timidly at home. Following this, Nie Zhenbang stood up and laughed. "Grandfather Aselev, I was just telling Ganukovich that I'd love to experience the nightlife of the great Soviet Union, something we don't have in our country." As soon as he finished speaking, Aselev's expression also softened. Among his many grandchildren, only Ganukovich gave him the most trouble. Therefore, Aselev was concerned that his grandson would lead his old friend's grandson astray. However, if it was the guest's proposal, Aselev didn't mind at all. He looked at Ganukovich and said, "Ganukovich, I'll leave Zhenbang in your care. You must promise to take good care of him for me. Understand?" "All right. Go ahead. It looks like you're not in the mood to eat anymore." With Aselev's words, Ganukovich immediately pulled Nie Zhenbang up. Outside the villa was parked a GAZ-67. This was a classic military car of the Soviet Union after World War II. Back then, the Soviet Union had donated a batch to our country which is rare to see now. A car as iconic as the American Willys MB Jeep. It was surprising that this young man had such a hobby. It's known that during World War I, due to the Lend-Lease Act, the Americans lent Willys Jeeps to the Soviet Union so abundantly that it seemed inexhaustible. All of the Soviet Union's automotive industry was put into the manufacturing the T-34 tanks. This kind of car was so sparse in the Soviet Union that they can only be found in number in China or North Korea these days. Nie Zhenbang was also surprised at the moment and said, "Ganokovich, you really surprised me. This is truly an extraordinary car. Awesome." Nie Zhenbang's praise made Ganokovich very proud. He quickly climbed into the driver's seat, made a gesture to get in the car and said, "Let's go, my dear Nie. You have no idea how crazy I have been recently. Your arrival couldn't be more timely. The seating space of the gas car is very small. The only actual seat is the front passenger seat. This car was designed for military leaders during the war. The seats in the back are basically just for show regarding comfort or other factors." Lu Kun climbed up with great effort. Seeing Dragon and Tiger also preparing to come up, Ganokovich said, "No, no. Nie, are you planning to bring bodyguards along too? I don't think that's necessary. Here, in Moscow, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. I guarantee that the honor of the Aselev family." At this point, Ganokovich looked at Li Lishui a little worried, and whispered in Nie Zhenbang's ear, "Nie, you see, the place we are going to." Dragon and Tiger were a little hesitant, but Nie Zhenbang smiled and said, "Dragon, Tiger, you guys stay here. You know my abilities and I won't get into trouble." At the same time, Nie Zhenbang said to Li Lishui, "Li Shui, you stay here. Lu Kun and I will go take a look." The car started quickly, the harsh acceleration made the engine roar. The car shot out. After about 10 minutes, the car stopped in front of a nightclub. A very simple neon light decoration. A heavy wooden door with people going in and out from time to time. From inside came the sound of music. The Russians are not big fans of the nightlife. Apart from a few hidden nightclubs, most Russians prefer heavy drinking, movies, ballet, and opera. As for sex and nightlife, at this time, they were just hobbies for the few. Due to Gorbachev's alcohol ban, the business of nightclubs during these times were not doing so well. Gorbachev had shut down the vodka factories and stores that sold alcohol. However, this deep-rooted hobby couldn't be stopped. Homebrewed vodka was common and places that sold booze always had long lines. Once inside the large round hall, a few fair-skinned Russian women were dancing disco on the stage. The heavy metal music filled the hall. But the sparse crowd made it seem rather desolate. "Gano, is this where we're supposed to hang out?" Seeing the scene, Nie Zhenbang asked deliberately. Ganokovich, on the other hand, gave a mysterious smile and clapped his hands. A waiter walked over. Seeing Ganokovich, the waiter greeted him warmly, "Mr. Aselev, it's been a while. Mr. Mikhail has mentioned you many times. Are these your friends?" Hearing the name Mikhail, Gano's eyes lit up, and he nodded, "These two are honored guests of my grandfather. They're from North Korea, Mr. Kim Jung-sung and Mr. Kui Yongxian. Please take us there." After passing a gate near the backstage of the nightclub and a long hallway, we arrived in a place designed to be incredibly clandestine. Based on these corridors, measures were taken to be very well concealed. If it was closed, there would be no indication of this hidden passage. Moreover, judging by its length, the secret club wasn't in this building at all. Even if they inspected, they wouldn't find anything. It seems that in both domestic and foreign contexts, for every policy, there is a countermeasure. It really is this way everywhere. Entering another large gate, the scene inside was vastly different from the quietness outside. In the spacious hall, a circular stage was set up. The music was intense, and many young men were already seated, with plenty of bottles of liquor on their tables. On the stage, 3 Russian beauties in bikinis were dancing provocatively. "Zhenbang, these dancers are all descendants of white Russian nobles. They have a certain appeal. Would you like a taste? I guarantee they will give you the most pleasurable moment a man can have." Ganokovich introduced them as if he were a pimp. Nie Zhenbang felt a chill. He was a virgin in both this life and the previous one. Although he wasn't a saint, he didn't wish to lose his virginity in a place like this. It seemed that Ganokovich had a good reputation here. People were often waving and gesturing towards him. Stepping up from the edge of the hall and heading upstairs, we entered a large private room. The room featured the world's most up-to-date laser disc system. The sight of these excited people singing their hearts out took Nie Zhenbang by surprise. He did not expect that karaoke, which is so popular in the Asia-Pacific region, would have such a big market in Moscow. Upon seeing Gano bringing people in, the room instantly became silent. 5 or 6 men stood up. The man leading them walked up to them, saying, "Gano, I'm so pleased to see you again. Did your grandfather not ground you?" Ganokovich's face showed a touch of embarrassment, and he quickly explained, "Zhenbang, let me introduce. This is Mikhail. His grandfather is the minister of our defense department. This one is Alexander Shevchenko, whose grandfather is the deputy commander of the Siberian military region." The scholarly young man next to him wearing glasses, his grandfather is the director and the first secretary of the party committee of the Irkutsk military factory. A chubby guy's grandfather is the highest authority in the Siberian region. Hearing all this, Nie Zhenbang felt ecstatic. The grandsons of the military and political leaders of the Siberian region are all here. If he could get along with them, it would be a significant benefit to his future career. And also, the glasses were great. The Irkutsk military factory wasn't famous among outsiders, but the weapons it produced are world-renowned. In the history of assault rifles, the famous AK-47 is produced by this military factory. Even if this factory was not the designer Kalashnikov, as a manufacturer, it must have the core data of the AK series. This would significantly advance the development of rifles domestically. Thinking of this, Nie Zhenbang also chuckled, "I am delighted to meet everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am from Warsaw, my name is Nie Zhenbang. Even though it's our first meeting, I have to say, you guys are not doing well at all." As Lu Kun translated these words, all these people looked at Nie Zhenbang angrily. Among them, Mikhail stepped forward. "Kid, what did you just say?" Chapter 52, Wasu Group. "Mikhail, what are you doing? Zhenbang is my grandfather's guest. His family is also one of the top ones in Warsaw. Don't do anything rash." Ganokovich also nervously stood up. If anything were to go wrong, he would be in serious trouble. At least, his grandfather wouldn't let him go easily. At that moment, Nie Zhenbang pulled Ganokovich aside and looked at Mikhail. "Mr. Mikhail, it's my first time meeting you and the other elite members of the Soviet Union's military and political circles. Personally, I'm very pleased. However, I must say, I do not agree with your lifestyle." Nie Zhenbang glanced at the people glaring at him and calmly said, "Do you know how old I am now? I'm only 17. My companion here is just 19. I believe that everyone here is older than us, right?" That statement was indeed true. The oldest, Mikhail, was already 24. The youngest, the chubby one, was also already 21. Mikhail raised an eyebrow and looked at Nie Zhenbang. "So what?" Nie Zhenbang was pleased. He had hoped for this reaction, for someone to engage with him, question and answer. His upcoming plan would go smoothly. He didn't expect that Mikhail would be so responsive. "It's not much. Just that, I think you all are pitiful. I don't know for how long you plan to depend on your elders, for the rest of your lives. That's impossible. I feel pity for you all. You have great advantages and opportunities right now, yet you don't know how to utilize and cherish them. For instance, I already own a massive industry in our country. Every year, it earns for me at least tens of millions, if not billions of assets. And you, I suppose the money you used to come here was all thanks to the support of your family, wasn't it? Don't you ever think about making money, making big money?" Nie Zhenbang's disdainful expression made Mikhail and the others itch to punch him. But what Nie Zhenbang said was true. "So what business can we do? Arms trade. That's a joke," Andrei Levsky, the one with the small glasses, said with a cold smile. This was indeed the reality in the Soviet Union. The focus of their industry and national power was on heavy industry and the military industry, weapons export. That was indeed the Soviet Union's major trade. They had the feeling of being highly skilled but finding no availability of resources. Next to them, Lu Kun was laughing. "Well, of course, you can. I think you would be interested in our partnership plan. Nowadays, the most sought after and scarce items in your country are commodities, foodstuff, clothing, and other light industry products. However, we don't have to worry about sourcing these items at all. You just need to organize the arms, then we can trade at the border in Siberia. We'll take full responsibility for the sale of the arms. You'll only need to deal with the transactions here and the sales problems. If we do this, do you think we still have to worry about money? Nie Zhenbang took over the discussion. Of course, we can set up a company together. How about we call it the Asia-Europe Group, or the China-Soviet Group, representing our strength and spanning across the Asia-Europe continent, operating in both Russia and the Soviet Union. Whether it's arms trade or commodities trade, we can each send people to supervise each other, share the profit according to our shares. Of course, if I have personal preferences and want to buy something privately, I will pay you a separate fee. What do you think? These Soviets, none of them were easy to deal with. Among those who shuttled between Russia and the Soviet Union were brokers who, despite their Russian appearance, held Russia citizenship. They were all familiar with this business, everyone knew how big the profits were. Upon hearing Nie Zhenbang's words, everyone was intrigued. As the leader of the group, Mikhail hesitated for a moment, and then decided, "Nie, I admire your proposal. So, how do we calculate the ownership? There's so many of us, and there's only 2 of you." Nie Zhenbang laughed a little, this kid really wanted to take advantage of him. Immediately, he responded with a smile, 2 options, first, we each own 50%. Second, you own 80% of the trade inside the Soviet Union, and I own 80% of the arms trade. Also, if you choose the second option, you must help me get a loan of $30 million from your Soviet Central Bank, for half a month. I'll leave myself here as collateral. In fact, Nie Zhenbang had set a trap of moderate scale at that moment. Although the 2 plans seemed almost identical, these people had significantly underestimated the vast potential of arms trade. For now, trade in daily necessities and food appeared to be incredibly profitable. As expected, after some discussion, Mikhail and his party promptly said, "We choose the second plan." As for the $30 million loan, for the immense Soviet Central Bank, it was merely a drop in the bucket. Off to the side, a thoughtful expression flickered in Andrei Levsky's eyes beneath his glasses as he suddenly questioned, "Nie, are you suggesting that we could trade Siberia's extensive energy and mineral resources for goods?" Nie Zhenbang was taken aback. He hadn't expected such shrewdness from the Soviets. It appeared he would need to maintain a good relationship with this Andrei going forward. The cleverer people were, the higher their talent and the greater their potential for profit. This also implied they were more daring. Nie replied with a smile, "Of course. Anything of value can be traded. Our goal is to establish a grand business empire, standing on the shoulders of Russia and the Soviet Union." Under Nie Zhenbang's insistence, both sides drafted a cooperation agreement, as requested by Nie. This ensured he had a bargaining chip, so he wouldn't have to fear them playing tricks in the future. As for the name, they decided to go with Wasu Group. Following the signing of the agreement, Nie Zhenbang and Mikhail, representing their respective parties, shook hands. Nie Zhenbang, with a smile, said, "Mikhail, next, I will transfer $100,000 to the company account we registered together. As for my loan, I'll leave that with you. Half a month from now, once the company has secured operational premises and inventory, I will return to my country to organize the delivery. In about 2 months, the first batch of goods, everyday items, clothing, and food worth about $1 million will arrive at the Siberian border. I will handle our border forces, as for your side, it's up to you." Off to the side, Alexander Shevchenko, being the grandson of the deputy commander of the Siberian military district, confidently assured, "Nie, you can trust us completely. We are looking forward to our first cooperation." Mikhail acted swiftly. In less than 3 days, the $30 million loan from the Soviet Central Bank had arrived in Nie Zhenbang's account. However, the monthly interest rate was alarmingly high, a staggering 16%. That meant Nie Zhenbang had to pay an interest of $4.8 million 1 month later. However, Nie Zhenbang was unconcerned at this point. He would immediately invest this money in the Soviet Union's black foreign exchange market, and he would exchange it for rubles at a ratio of 1 to 15. Thenceforth, the $30 million would translate into 450 million rubles. Afterward, he would give back about 31 million rubles to the Soviet Central Bank using the official exchange rate of $1 to 0.9 rubles, completing the loan payment. Nie Zhenbang would then be left with over 400 million rubles. This money would gradually be exchanged back for US dollars at a rate of about $1. $1 to 1.2 rubles within the Soviet Union. This was the primary reason for Nie Zhenbang's visit. Finding a black market had been difficult. It was only with help from Ganukovich that Nie Zhenbang managed to find one. By the time he finished all the currency exchanges and repaid the loan, 20 days had passed. As for the leftover rubles, Nie Zhenbang entrusted them to Li Lishui. For the following period, Li Lishui would stay behind to complete the supplementary currency exchanges. Meanwhile, Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun, carrying the over $20 million they'd exchanged, would embark on their journey back home. Chapter 53, Lu Kun's Friend. Moscow Station. This time, Nie Zhenbang's return trip seemed much more low-key. $20 million had been deposited in a Swiss bank through domestic connections. And it was stored in the state's secret account. When Nie Zhenbang returned home, the state would naturally give him the equivalent amount in RMB at the official rate. On the platform, Li Lishui and Tiger stood aside. Considering Li Lishui's safety, Nie Zhenbang decided to keep Tiger behind. As a woman, especially one as beautiful as Li Lishui, Nie Zhenbang was indeed a little worried about her safety. Seeing Mikhail and Ganukovich coming to see him off, Nie Zhenbang smiled and said, "My partners. Get moving. After I go back, I will immediately organize the goods. I look forward to our first start. Also, Evelina, I still have to ask you to take good care of her." Mikhail also nodded. After the agreement was signed, he specifically went to understand the market for Washa's daily necessities, clothing, and food in his country. The result was a complete scenario of supply and demand, which gave Mikhail full confidence. He looked at the beauty next to him. Li Lishui's gorgeousness was not something ordinary people could compare to. Russian beauty is said to be plentiful, with skin as smooth as jade. However, Li Lishui's beauty, coupled with the Eastern upbringing she received from an early age, gave her a Western face but an Eastern charm. This was not ordinary Russian beauty. If Li Lishui were not Nie Zhenbang's woman, perhaps Mikhail could not resist either. Immediately, Mikhail also laughed and said, "Nie, rest assured. According to your custom, I should call her sister-in-law. Please rest assured, even without Ganukovich's relationship, your woman, I will definitely take care of her. With me around, no one in the entire Soviet Union would dare to touch." Sister-in-law. Mikhail spoke in Russian, but Li Lishui, who was fluent in Russian, stood by and looked embarrassed. Looking at Nie Zhenbang, Li Lishui's expression was somewhat complex. She said there was no relationship, but she is now working for him. Moreover, the exchange between the US dollar and the ruble shocked Li Lishui. How did this man's brain grow? She underestimated him, who had known so much and made tens of millions of dollars in just a month. With billions of rubles in her hand now, Li Lishui could hardly believe it. He claims to be interested in her beauty. However, aside from her initial worries, Nie Zhenbang barely paid any attention to her. Does she look that bad? Li Lishui even began to doubt her own appearance. They say a woman's mind is complicated, and at this moment, Nie Zhenbang had no idea about Li Lishui's complex feelings. He glanced at Li Lishui and laughed out loud, saying, "Mikhail, thanks a lot. In the future, if you get the chance, you can ask sister-in-law to help you find someone." After saying that, he especially said, "Thank you," in Russian, "die and wash." After saying this, Nie Zhenbang looked at Lu Kun next to him and said, "Kun, I must say, their Russian thank you sounds quite disgusting. It's called, die and wash." Lu Kun knew that Nie Zhenbang was joking on purpose. He laughed and played along, saying, "Third brother, this you wouldn't know. When a person dies, they naturally need to be washed. Since they can't do it themselves, it's only right that the living help." This saying is quite fitting. It was the same train and conductor as last time. At this moment, seeing the several Soviet people on the platform, the military badge of the Ministry of Defense made the conductor feel a bit relieved. He was glad he didn't make a move, otherwise, he would be in big trouble. After Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun got on the train, the conductor took good care of them all the way. The return journey always feels much faster than the journey there. The train arrived at Chita train station in the afternoon. The three of them casually found a hotel to rest and only headed toward the border after 10 at night. With Long, who was highly familiar with the Soviet Union Army's patrol regulations, they arrived in their homeland without any hitches. In a hotel in Monjoli, perhaps Long felt that his mission was complete. He stood up and announced, "Mr. Zhenbang, my task is completed. I'll return to my unit now." Nie Zhenbang looked at Long. This young man was skillful and, more importantly, he was not nosy or talkative. He was a suitable candidate for a bodyguard. Moreover, his abilities in other areas were decent. During the past period, Nie Zhenbang had become accustomed to his services. Nie Zhenbang then took out a stack of US dollars from his bag, put it on the table, and said, "Long, take this. Consider it a token of my appreciation for your hard work alongside Tiger over this period. Take this money home for your family's expenses." At this moment, Long straightened his body and said solemnly, "Mr. Zhenbang, I'm only following orders. I can't accept such a gesture. Not greedy for money and aware of the rules. These were merits." Nie Zhenbang said no more. This kind of soldier had principles. If he were to use his authority to pressure him, then he would be the one at a disadvantage. Looking at Long, Nie Zhenbang laughed and said, "All right, if you insist, I won't force you. But, Long, would you be interested in working with me? I'll speak to your army chief. You and Tiger don't have to worry." This time, Long did not resist. After pondering for a moment, he agreed, "I don't mind, I'll leave all arrangements to you." Nie Zhenbang dialed Yuan Xinghua immediately. Of course, Yuan Xinghua wouldn't refuse Nie Zhenbang over a soldier and readily agreed. Long and Tiger didn't even need to handle their discharge paperwork. The army department would take care of it and deliver it to their local armed forces. On the return journey, they did not go through northeast but passed through Taoyuan province and directly ventured south into Jingcheng. The next afternoon, just past 5 o'clock, the group finally rushed into Daliang City, the capital of Taoyuan province. After securing rooms in Prairie Hotel, Lu Kun suddenly proposed, "Brother Nie, I have a primary school mate. His father was transferred to Taoyuan province later and, as I heard, is now the province's deputy governor. Shall I invite him over for dinner?" In their circle, one would generally refer to people of the older generation in their family as old man or old lady, but fathers are usually referred to as old man. Nie Zhenbang gave Lu Kun a glance. Lu Kun's family in Jingcheng wasn't influential since his grandfather had become a martyr early on and his father was merely a district secretary. This evoked early maturity in Lu Kun compared to others. Probably the recent operations had left Lu Kun quite awestruck. It seemed that he wished to give his childhood friend a hand up the ladder. Nie Zhenbang chuckled. Naturally, he was not naive enough to point it out. As a person in power, one must possess the skill to manage his subordinates. It's not only about obtaining benefits for oneself, but sometimes about giving subordinates some benefits or even allowing them to give benefits to others. Only then would they help unconditionally. Nie Zhenbang believed that Lu Kun was not the kind of person to shoot without aim. If Lu Kun introduced his friend at this point and aimed at promoting him, Nie Zhenbang believed that Lu Kun would know where to draw the line. Looking at Lu Kun, Nie Zhenbang showed indifference. "Oh. If you have a friend here, then of course we should meet him. Let's first decide on a place, and then you can call your friend over." Chapter 54, Officialdom Layout. After Lu Kun made the call, within 10 minutes, a Santana had pulled up at the hotel's entrance. In this era, a Santana was indeed the rare gem among sedans, surpassed only by a few luxurious cars like Mercedes and BMW in Jingcheng. In other provinces and cities, particularly a place like Taoyuan province, the Santana was unequivocally a status symbol. The car stopped, and a young man had already climbed out. He was about 1.78 meters tall. He had long hair, similar to that of a Bohemian man. His beard appeared unkempt, which created an air of decadence. Upon seeing Lu Kun, the young man was very enthusiastic, opened his arms wide and dramatically greeted him. "Kun, my old pal. It's been a while. You're not luxuriating in Jingcheng anymore. What brings you to this out-of-the-way place in Taoyuan province?" Lu Kun at this moment also seemed very happy. He too embraced, playfully punching the man in the chest, and laughing said, "Look at you, getting more and more of an artist's style. With those decadent eyes, I bet many Bohemian girls are smitten. Really, does your old man allow you to behave this way?" The initially joyful man, hearing these words, immediately toned down his enthusiasm. although still wearing a smile, but less naturally, behave this way. I call it free love, understand? Anyway, my old man's hands are full so he can't bother with me right now. Lu Kun was disdainful of his friend's remarks. Our supreme leader once said that any courtship not aimed at marriage is hooliganism. Being a shrewd and agile character, Lu Kun knew that the hotel's lobby wasn't the place for such exchanges. Smiling he said, "Let's go, I've reserved a box. I'm introducing you to a real VIP. In Jingcheng, he's one of a kind. Nowadays, all my buddies are following him." The man was aware of Lu Kun's family background, and seeing Lu Kun like this, the man became serious. The moment the two walked into the private room, Nie Zhenbang stood up. It's not that the man had significant rank or status. Nie Zhenbang was doing this purely out of respect for Lu Kun. Sometimes, these little details are the deciding factor for success or failure in certain situations. Sure enough, seeing Nie Zhenbang's actions, Lu Kun's face also broke into a radiant smile, feeling proud in front of his friend. His third brother was indeed giving him, Lu Kun, plenty of face. Then, Lu Kun also laughingly went on, "Third brother, let me introduce you, this is my childhood friend, my brother, Liang Ligui. He is the son of Deputy Secretary Liang of Kaoyuan Province." Nie Zhenbang also smiled, looking at this very bohemian Liang Ligui, and said, "In the Analects, there is a saying, the rights are essential to harmony. Your father did choose a cultured name. Ligui, it's indeed a good name." Upon hearing this, Liang Ligui gaped in surprise. Nie Zhenbang's impression was too astounding. Their ages might not differ much, maybe Nie Zhenbang could even be younger. However, the aura exuding from him, as well as his wide knowledge, utterly shocked Liang Ligui. Looking at Lu Kun next to him, he said, "Kun, your brother is a real guru. This name of mine has been laughed at by people all over Kaoyuan Province for being too rustic. Third brother, you are the first one to truly understand it. I admire you enormously." Lu Kun burst into laughter, a hint of pride appearing on his face. "Of course, why else would he be my third brother? Ligui, let me formally introduce you. This is Nie Zhenbang, the third son in his family. Just like me, you can just call him third brother." Nie Zhenbang motioned with his hand and laughed. All right. Let's sit down, eat and talk." All sorts of special dishes from the grassland were set on the table one by one. Milk, cheese and fermented milk were also brought in. Liang Ligui, at this moment, was also paying attention and observing Nie Zhenbang. The introduction by Lu Kun earlier was rather ambiguous. However, a great deal had been revealed from the moment they met till now. Liang Ligui was also aware of the background of Lu Kun's family. Although the old man was a revolutionary martyr, the connections of the old man still existed. Today, some big figures in Jingcheng do look after the Lu family. Within their circle, Lu Kun was also considered a significant character. The fact that Lu Kun was allied with him showed that this third brother was not simple. Moreover, from the moment he entered, the third brother was courteous in his words, yet there was an underlying feeling of reserve and indifference. He didn't care a bit about his own status. Besides, his surname was Nie. In Jingcheng, there were not many big shots with the surname of Nie. Thus, the identity of Nie Zhenbang was nearly exposed. Despite Liang Ligui's bohemian appearance, he was a capable assistant to Deputy Secretary Liang at home. Subsequently, Liang Ligui stood up with a glass of liquor in his hand. "Third brother, this is our first meeting. I toast you a glass. I will drink it up, you can do as you please. Henceforth, if there's anything I can help with in Kaoyuan Province, feel free to find me." At this moment, Lu Kun was also nodding with satisfaction. Just as Nie Zhenbang had guessed, Lu Kun had called Liang Ligui over with this intention in mind. Ever since his visit to the Soviet Union, Lu Kun had understood, neither he nor the others in the Jingcheng circle were a match for third brother. Fortunately, he was now considered a trusted confidant of the third brother. There's a saying that when one person achieves enlightenment, even his pets ascend to heaven. Not to mention bringing good fortune to his neighbors, at least he can help a couple of old friends or brothers, which is feasible. However, having too many was not acceptable. After all, Nie Zhenbang was Nie Zhenbang, and he was himself. For Nie Zhenbang, something might be easy, but it would still depend on whether the others were willing. Now that Liang Ligui has taken this step on his own, then with him adding a few more words on the side, only if Nie Zhenbang does not object, it will mean that he has been integrated into Nie Zhenbang's network. Thinking of this, Lu Kun immediately said with a smile, "Third brother, there's something I would like to bother you with. Ligui's father has been out of luck recently, do you think you could give him some advice?" In Lu Kun's view, Nie Zhenbang's advice was nothing more than using the power of the Nie family. Now, Nie Zhenbang was also pondering. At present, the situation of the Nie family is that they have substantial prestige in the military. After all, the old man is from a military background, and is currently the second highest ranking official in the military. Besides, his eldest uncle Nie Guodong is currently serving in the Exabay military region, and only needs to complete this term, reach the mandatory retirement age, and get promoted to a high-ranking position in the military region. This is inevitable. However, the Nie family is presently somewhat weak in the government, whether its connections or anything else. For someone like Nie Zhenbang who has a clear understanding of future events, the role of the military will greatly diminish in the future. The number one leader of the later generations all came from the government system. Therefore, how can Nies increase their status and networking in the government system is something Nie Zhenbang needs to ponder about. When they were in Yudong, he and Guo Ming did establish an initial relationship in Peng City. They believe that afterwards, the old man will be able to seize this opportunity to consolidate this symbiotic relationship with Deputy Governor Guo. Now, if they can integrate Deputy Secretary Liang into the Nie family's network, along with their current connections in government, they will also represent a significant force. Immediately, Nie Zhenbang also laughed and said, "Oh, Brother Ligui, just lay out your troubles. Let's hear it." Seeing the encouraging look in Lu Kun's eye, Liang Ligui immediately laughed and said, "It's not a big deal really. Third brother, as you would understand it, it's the year of the governmental turnover. Currently, apart from my dad, Wang Botao, the province's executive deputy governor, is also eligible to compete for the governorship of Taoyuan province. Behind Deputy Governor Wang stands the Wang family. Right now is the Wang family's heyday. My dad, being a pure civilian, only recognized Kun's old man back in Jingcheng. Right now, he has the will but lacks the power. Lu Kun's father is about 5 to 6 years younger than this Deputy Secretary Liang. Yet, even so, this Deputy Secretary Liang, from a deputy departmental level in Jingcheng, managed to climb to the current deputy ministerial level. This proves the strength of his capabilities. The Wang family were the main forces under Comrade Zuri, and were the backbone of the conservative faction. In the past, they were both civil and military, supporting the conservative faction with the Nie family. Nie Zhenbang is familiar with the Wang family. He knows they don't have outstanding members in the third generation. Thinking about this, Nie Zhenbang stood up and said, "Ligui, waited with Kun, I have a phone call to make." Chapter 55, Stealing FAW's Business. Nie Zhenbang's action somewhat moved Liang Ligui. Though Lu Kun didn't explicitly say it, Liang Ligui was well aware that Nie's third brother had significant connections in high places. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang was willing to humble himself and make a phone call in front of him, regardless of whether the matter would succeed or not. This showed that Nie Zhenbang was open and sincere. The phone connected after just a couple of rings. Nie Zhenbang promptly picked it up and said, "Hello, please connect me to the leader's office. This is Nie Zhenbang." Soon, Elder Nie's hearty voice rang out from the phone, "Zhenbang, you're back. You were gone for more than a month. Not a single update, don't you think to give a call home, son?" Elder Nie's words carried a hint of concern, which touched Nie Zhenbang. In his previous life, he did not have much interaction with his grandfather. Reflecting now, it seemed normal. In his previous life, being a bastard child was a status his grandfather greatly disliked, and being physically disabled didn't help. A man of his grandfather's standing, no matter how much he loved him, would never lower his pride. In this life, Nie Zhenbang's series of actions helped remove the barrier between him and his grandfather. Nie Zhenbang replied with a smile, "Grandfather, I've been quite busy, with no time to make a call. Fortunately, everything that needed to be handled has been taken care of. I called you as soon as I got back. There's one more thing I'd like to discuss with you." He proceeded to share Deputy Secretary Liang's situation from Taoyuan Province. On the other end of the line, Elder Nie fell silent for quite some time. In all honesty, Elder Nie wasn't a government official. However, he admitted that Nie Zhenbang's assumption was correct. After stepping into the core of the reform faction, Elder Nie truly understood the far-sighted vision of the leader. Since the major disbanding of 1 million soldiers years ago, Elder Nie understood that the main function of the military now was to maintain domestic stability during this transition period, ensuring the regular rotation of national leadership. Once the incumbent leader's successor officially took the stage, the military's role would return to its original position. The principle and ideology of our party was that the military should not interfere in politics. Hearing Nie Zhenbang recognizing this situation made Elder Nie very pleased. Among the Nie family's second generation, his eldest son Nie Guodong was average, and his youngest son Nie Guowei was barely passable. In the third generation, Zhiliang's abilities weren't bad, but his prospects were limited. Due to his relationship with the Nie family, he could only expect to reach the level of a deputy national leader at most. And then there was Nie Zhenbang, who was clearly suited for the military. Surprisingly, this originally superfluous third grandson, who once made Elder Nie feel mortified, accomplished a lot more than he expected. After a moment of reflection, Elder Nie said, "Zhenbang, let this young Liang come to Jingcheng in person tomorrow. It so happens, I've invited old Huang to have dinner at my house tomorrow." At this point, Nie Zhenbang understood Elder Nie's intentions. Old Huang was likely Nie Zhenbang's maternal grandfather, Deputy Prime Minister Huang. It seemed that the matter around Deputy Secretary Liang had been resolved. After hanging up, Nie Zhenbang looked over at an expectant Liang Ligui and smiled. "Ligui, it's done. You should have your father head to Jingcheng tomorrow. A phone call should suffice." Hearing Nie Zhenbang's words, the tension in Liang Ligui's heart eased. The path had been paved for him. Whether it would come to fruition depended on how well his father performed in the meeting tomorrow. Liang Ligui stood up and said, "Third brother, I will remember this favor. In the future, if you need anything, just say the word." After staying in Taoyuan province for one night, Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun caught a direct flight to Jingcheng City the next day. Jingcheng City Airport. At the moment, a crowd of young people gathered within the parking apron, around several brand new BMW 750i cars. This BMW model, coded as E32, was BMW company's newest product for the year. A 5.0L V12 engine. It can give the car a strong power of 300 horsepower. 3 black BMW 750s were parked side by side, with a Ferrari and a Porsche behind them. This kind of fleet immediately attracted the attention of passers-by. But once they saw all the plates were uniform military plates, everyone took a quick glance and then moved away. Every person in Jingcheng knew very well that these people weren't ones to cross. At this moment, Yang Onbong was standing at the front, and Xiao Yali was next to him. Their relationship had become clear, to the point where their elders had even met for the first time. It was expected that by the end of the year, their relationship would be officially solidified. Li Hua and Zhang Shu were waiting nearby. As the plane landed, Nie Zhenbang and Lu Kun just walked out of the gangway. Looking at the scene below, Lu Kun exclaimed, "Oh man, third brother, are these our people in Jingcheng? It seems like they're welcoming Nixon. These arrangements seem too excessive. They all look like nouveau riche. I think the gas cars in Yarno are better." Looking at these cars and listening to Lu Kun talking about gas cars, Nie Zhenbang's eyes lit up at this moment. Cars were a man's favorite thing. In his previous life, Nie Zhenbang didn't have the opportunity to enjoy the pleasure of driving. However, this did not prevent Nie Zhenbang from appreciating and studying cars. From his memory, Audi didn't enter Huasha until later. Around this time, he guessed that FAWWA is still in talks with Chrysler. This was a good opportunity. If he could snatch Audi from FAW, Nie Zhenbang believed that he could make a great profit from it, at least, not worse than FAW's 50-50 stake. At this moment, Yang Onbong felt especially moved. Before Nie Zhenbang went to the Soviet Union, he had some doubts and even advised Nie Zhenbang. But when the National Central Bank converted Nie Zhenbang's $20 million into 744 to 4 million yuan according to the current exchange rate and deposited it into the Walmart supermarket's corporate account, he was surprised. Moreover, what was even more surprising was the news Yang Onbong got from his grandfather, indicating that this was only the beginning and there were more assets being processed in the Soviet Union. At this moment, Yang Onbong felt shocked, and even considered pulling Nie Zhenbang fully into business. From Yang Onbong's perspective, it would be a pity for Nie Zhenbang not to go into business. As Nie Zhenbang walked down the plane and headed this way, Yang Onbong waved his hand. Everyone shouted, "Third brother, welcome back victorious." At this time, Jiangshu had also come over. Looking at Nie Zhenbang, Jiangshu now had less of a competitive feel. After a mutual embrace, both men felt a sense of camaraderie. "Third brother, I admit, compared to you, I'm not as good. I was planning to go to the military unit before. Knowing that you would come back today, I deliberately postponed it by one day. I'm leaving. Our competition isn't over. Don't worry, Jiangshu, won't admit defeat so easily." Jiangshu left, appearing very confident. Looking at Jiangshu's retreating figure, Nie Zhenbang also sighed. He's really a young talent. Jiangshu was indeed a friend worth having. Shaking his head, Nie Zhenbang adjusted his mood and teasingly hugged Yang Onbong's neck, and whispered, "Brother-in-law, development is going well, isn't it? Now, I have a new business. I am wondering if you're interested." Yang Onbong was somewhat speechless. This kid always had something up his sleeve, and his comments were always full of traps. When he asked about development, Yang Onbong wasn't sure if he was asking about the supermarket or about his relationship with Xiao Yali. Yang Onbong avoided the topic, but he was quite curious about the business proposition. "What business?" "Regardless of whether I'm interested or not, I'll join you if you're doing it." Nie Zhenbang laughed. "Second brother, this time it's not about supermarkets. This time, I plan to establish a car company, to deal with real industries. Do you know Audi? I heard that Audi seems to be very interested in FAO. How about we snatch this business deal together?" Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 56, Communication with Talented People. The BMW 7 Series, with its large body and spacious interior, indeed perfectly suits the aesthetic tastes of the greater Zhonghua region. In our country, BMW has always been synonymous with high-end luxury cars. In the first car, Nie Zhenbang and Yang Onbong were sitting in the back seats respectively. Yang Onbong immediately reported on the situation of the Walmart supermarket over the past few months, then said, "Youngest, I couldn't reach you for a while, so I decided on my own to acquire a company." This statement caught Nie Zhenbang by surprise. Yang Onbong's character has always been cautious, never venturing into industries he is not familiar with. Even when Yang Onbong's company made it to the Fortune Global 500 in his previous life, he followed a specialized path. How could Yang Onbong be so aggressive and bold in this life? Could it be the butterfly effect? Nie Zhenbang, however, smiled and asked, "What company, and how much did it cost? Tell me about it." "A small shop on East Street near the front gate of Jingcheng. I once heard customers in the supermarket talking about this store. It specializes in imported electrical appliances and is called Gome Electrical Store. I went to check it out in person. The owner is quite remarkable. In this era, goods are in high demand. However, he could resist the temptation of high profits and stick to the principle of small margins and high volume. This is quite similar to Walmart's business philosophy. I saw him as a talent and wanted to recruit him to our company, specifically to oversee Walmart's electrical appliance sector. So, I also acquired his store. The price I offered was an annual salary of 100,000, in addition to 5% of the shares in the company's electrical department," Yang Onbong explained casually. Nie Zhenbang, on the other hand, was taken aback. "Gome, Huang Guangyu. That's an extraordinary man. In future times, he would become a top-ranking rich man on the mainland." Nie Zhenbang had not thought that in this life, Huang Guangyu would be recruited by Yang Onbong. Sensing Nie Zhenbang's surprise, Yang Onbong became somewhat flustered and said, "Zhenbang, if it's about the expenditure, I can take care of it. Regarding the shares, consider it my personal contribution." Hearing this, Nie Zhenbang laughed and replied, "Second brother, do you not trust your own judgment that much? I would like to meet this person. Moreover, your decision is the company's decision. Our choice to make you the legal representative and the chairman is indicative of our attitude. From now on, you are in full charge of the Walmart supermarket." I will not participate in the daily operations. The industry we delve into and how we operate will be entirely up to you. Yang Onbong also laughed and said, all right then. Once we get to the company, I will ask him to come over and meet with you. Along the way, seeing all the road guards assisting them by temporarily blocking traffic and saluting, Nie Zhenbang shook his head and said, second brother, we're being too high profile now. Speaking to himself, Nie Zhenbang added, nowadays, in the Jingcheng circle, I presume neither the Li family, the Wang family, nor the Zhang family with military ties are as showy as we are. The saying goes, excessive is deficient. Our nation's culture for the past 5,000 years emphasizes moderation in all things. The tallest tree catches the most wind. Aren't we just merchants? You're acting like a national leader with these special passes hanging on our car. My comrade, this will surely attract jealousy. Feeling slightly embarrassed, Yang Onbong chuckled and said, well, Walmart supermarket did pretty well this year. After opening stores nationwide, your older sister reckoned we could be considered a national business tycoon. Driving a 212 Jeep seemed too modest, so she bought a few luxury cars. Slightly confident, Yang Onbong continued, as for anyone foolish enough to wish trouble upon us, they better have a strong stomach. However, having said that, Yang Onbong laughed again and said, but, youngest, you're right. We were indeed too flashy. If we keep this up, the elderlies from both our families and old Shaos will probably want to have a chat with us. Should we change our cars? Nie Zhenbang was definite while replying, yes, change them. BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes are too eye-catching. Second brother, I'm not criticizing you, but you don't seem to learn anything useful on normal days. You're acting much like a newly rich. We should change these cars for something more low-profile. Bentley or Maybach would be a modest luxury. The car drove directly into Walmart Supermarket's new headquarters in Jingcheng. Ever since Walmart Supermarket's nationwide expansion, it was no longer suitable to work in the small two-story building behind the supermarket. After Nie Zhenbang's funds arrived, Yang Onbong immediately purchased a ready-made 6-story building in the Dongcheng district on the outskirts of Jingcheng's Third Ring Road. Including the surrounding ancillary facilities, it covers a total area of nearly 50 acres, costing just over 16 million. Nie Zhenbang was amazed at the bargain. On entering the company's headquarters, the first floor was the reception area. The second and fourth floors were the office spaces for various departments. The fifth floor was the office area for the company's middle-level cadres. The top floor was the office for Yang Onbong and other senior executives. Next to the chairman's office, at the entrance, was an office without any sign. This was the office that Yang Onbong and Xiao Yali had specifically reserved for the Nie brothers, Nie Zhenbang, and Nie Zhenbang. Considering that Nie Zhenbang and Nie Zhenbang will be joining the army and politics respectively in the future, no signs were hung. The spacious large desk and chair, a row of bookshelves, made it feel a bit dignified. Sitting in the chair, Nie Zhenbang looked at the small national flag and party flag hanging on the table, but he was thinking about Huang Guangyu. As for Huang Guangyu joining Walmart, Nie Zhenbang was only curious at the beginning. Since his rebirth and changing many things one after another, Nie Zhenbang understood clearly. This world is probably no longer the world he used to know. It's like a parallel universe, like the many branches on the main stem of history. Since the political leaning of the Nie family had been changed by himself, why wouldn't it be unusual for Huang Guangyu to join Walmart? However, Nie Zhenbang believed that Huang Guangyu in this world still had abilities. Otherwise, with Yang Onbong's high and mighty character, he wouldn't have spent such a large amount to bring him on board. While contemplating, there was a knock on the door. Nie Zhenbang straightened his body and said, "Come in." Upon entering, Huang Guangyu stood at the door, appearing a bit nervous. At this moment, Huang Guangyu was only a year older than Nie Zhenbang. Looking at the notorious Nie San, who single-handedly ran Walmart Supermarket, Huang Guangyu was still nervous. After carefully closing the door, he stood at the entrance of the office and said, "3 Junior, you asked for me." Nie Zhenbang laughed at that moment, then motioned to the sofa in front and said, "Mr. Huang, you are a talent invited by Director Yang. Don't be so nervous, confidence is the most important thing." Seeing that Huang Guangyu quickly adjusted his mentality and sat on the sofa, Nie Zhenbang secretly complimented him. True to his reputation as the future richest man, his psychological quality was absolutely first class. Then, Nie Zhenbang also laughed and said, Mr. Huang, well, you are 1 year older than me, I'll call you Guangyu. I called you over to ask, what is your view of your new role heading Walmart's electrical appliances department? Huang Guangyu hesitated for a moment. When he initially joined Walmart, he was captivated by the offered price by Yang Anbang. Now, after officially entering, Huang Guangyu had some ideas. Huang Guangyu always thought, focusing solely on electrical appliances is good. On the contrary, he felt that with Walmart's approach, people will perceive a lack of professionalism. Looking at Nie Zhenbang's sincere gaze, Huang Guangyu fell silent for a moment, then shared his true thoughts. 3 Junior, I think the electrical department should be separated from Walmart supermarket and become an independently operating and accounting department. Originally, Huang Guangyu just casually mentioned this, he didn't expect Nie Zhenbang to agree. Regardless, since he had agreed, Huang Guangyu planned to stick to his job contract at least for the next few years. But at this moment, Nie Zhenbang laughed and said, Great. Guangyu, I'm glad you said that. We were planning on restructuring Walmart supermarket and setting up a new Walmart group, which will include Walmart supermarkets and a professional electrical company. Let's just call it GOM Electrical Appliances. I'm planning to put you in charge of GOM Electrical Appliances. However, I believe a specialized electrical store can still adopt the supermarket model. The whole country will be our territory. We will follow the path of chain operations. I am convinced that in the future, the channel will reign supreme. This oft-repeated phrase in his former world was now being used by Nie Zhenbang for the first time, and he spoke about the essence of chain operations and scale operations. Huang Guangyu looked at Nie Zhenbang with new eyes. Is this a human? No, this is a god. Chapter 57, Preparatory Party Member. Nie Zhenbang has always been resolute and decisive in his life. Walmart supermarket, if it was like a big, melting pot, it wouldn't necessarily be unsustainable. However, the art of business relies on specialization. In this epic, Huang Guangyu's vision to operate a specialized appliance store, which could attract a multitude of customers, is decidedly correct. Nie Zhenbang immediately issued orders and, given his influence in Walmart, Yang Anbang and Xiao Yali naturally had no objections. As for Nie Zhenbang, a nominal shareholder, he had not been seen for a long time. It was heard that he had suspended his studies at the Yuying school and went to Exhibe. This was his final preparation before joining the military. Soon after, Yang Anbang and others incorporated a brand new Walmart Holdings group in Hong Kong. Yang Anbang still held 50% of the shares. Xiao Yali held 10%. The remaining 40% were distributed amongst Nie Zhenbang's mother, Huang Yurong, who held 15%, Yi Shushan who held 20%, and Nie Ziyu who held the final 5%. Below Walmart Holdings Group, 2 departments were established, one was the current flagship Walmart supermarket, and the other was a newly established GOM Electrical Appliances. As the actual person in charge of GOM Electrical Appliances, Huang Guangyu held 12% of the company shares, becoming the largest shareholder after Yang Anbang and Nie Zhenbang. At this point, it may appear that Nie Zhenbang was at a disadvantage, but in the future, everybody would come to realize how astute Nie Zhenbang really was. Converting the shares into the mothers' names of the 2 families was also one of Nie Zhenbang's considerations for the future. At face value, 2 people were participating in stock ownership, although these were the shares of their sons. However, to outsiders, this seemed like a union of the Nie, Yang, Huang, and Yi families. In China, it would be an existence akin to an unbeatable superpower that no one dared to trifle with. Moreover, Nie Zhenbang, knowing the evolution of the future development, understood that in the future, the state would introduce a policy to strictly prohibit state officials and military personnel from participating in commercial operations. As individuals who aspired to advance in political and military circles, Nie Zhenbang and Nie Zhenbang could not wait until then to separate themselves from the business world. If they did, they would be at a disadvantage. By acting this way now, they could preemptively solve future issues, which was the main reason Nie Zhenbang insisted that Huang Yurong and Yi Shushan hold shares. With the existence of Walmart Holding Group's connections, plus the backing of the financially robust Walmart Group, the operation of GOM Electrical Appliances was swift. Still on the main street outside the front gate, preparations were underway for the first GOM electrical appliances store, covering tens of thousands of square meters of business area. Even before its opening, it was causing quite a stir. Meanwhile, due to the existence of a dual-track system, there were essentially plans for domestically produced appliances. Nie Zhenbang, exploiting his connections, contacted these appliance manufacturers to work overtime. This policy was permissible. As a result, supply was guaranteed for ordinary, low-priced appliances. Simultaneously, a large quantity of various appliances was imported through the Yun family of Hong Kong, aiming to make GOM electrical appliances a hit right from the start. At this time, Nie Zhenbang was already seated in the president's office at Jingcheng University. For this trip to Jingcheng University, Nie Zhenbang kept a low profile. He wore ordinary clothes, rode a bicycle and did not use a car or a driver. He arrived on his own. Indeed, this had been one of Nie Zhenbang's long-cherished wishes. In his previous life, Nie Zhenbang was disabled. Every time he saw people leisurely riding bicycles around the campus, Nie Zhenbang was extremely envious. This time, upon hearing from his father that Jingcheng University had called and asked him to visit the school, Nie Zhenbang naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to fulfill his wish. The president of Jingcheng University was Professor Shi Yongcheng, a well-known education scholar and mathematician in our country. Upon seeing Nie Zhenbang come in, Professor Shi put down his work, looked up at Nie Zhenbang, smiled and said, "Student Nie is here. If I hadn't called your superior officer, we wouldn't be seeing you all year round." At this moment, Nie Zhenbang felt a bit embarrassed being teased by a respected headmaster. Professor Shi, who had spent his entire life in education and research, exuded no worldly desires and was a true scholar, deserving utmost respect. As a principal, Professor Shi was well aware of Nie Zhenbang's background. At this point, Nie Zhenbang didn't appear flustered. He immediately laughed and replied, "Principal, it seems like you're chiding me. Perhaps I should visit the school more often. Come and see you more." It was simply a matter of visiting a few more times, and Professor Shi laughed heartily, waving his hand and saying, "Let it be. I have heard of your merits. You're quite a self-made person. Moreover, I have seen your scores from last term. First in the Chinese department. You are highly appreciated by Professor Qian, the head of your department. Given this, I don't have much to say." After a short pause, Professor Shi continued, "Zhenbang, this time, I called you here mainly to see what Nie Zhenbang, who is known only by his reputation at Jingcheng University, is really like. Also, the party membership application you submitted has been carefully considered by the party branch of your Chinese department and the school party committee. The school has agreed to your application. Go check with Secretary Wang. He is the secretary of the party branch. I will not be involved in this as I am not part of the party." Professor Shi was a Democrat and a member of other parties in the country. This feature is unique to Huasha. Even though the party in power dominates, the multi-party system gives others the right to participate. Although Professor Shi was the principal, he did not have the authority to decide Nie Zhenbang's party membership. Upon hearing this, Nie Zhenbang was surprised. He hadn't filled out a party membership application. Suddenly, he was supposed to become a member of the party in the university. He was only 17 years old. At this age, he became a probationary party member, skipping the step of becoming an active party member. After a one-year probation period, he could become a full-fledged party member. Becoming a party member at 18 would offer Nie Zhenbang an innate advantage on his future political path. If his guess was correct, the party membership application must have been done by his grandfather. Indeed, the elderly are certainly more cunning. Applying for party membership at this time would be just right for his graduation. Once again, he found the office of Professor Wang, the party secretary of Jingcheng University. Professor Wang has a background in economics, and is currently quite accomplished in this field. In the domestic economy field, he is undoubtedly one of the top experts. This era's university is not as superficial as the later ones. The leaders of the school are generally scholarly, and the air of administration is not as strong. Upon seeing Nie Zhenbang, Professor Wang signaled for him to sit down and then began speaking. Nie Zhenbang, from now on, you are an honorable probationary party member. I hope that in future work and study, you will constantly require yourself as a party member. Modest and prudent, pragmatic and enterprising, make contributions to our country's socialist construction. Of course, these were some formalities and cliched speeches. After finishing, Professor Wang laughed at himself, touched his bald head, and jokingly said, "I get nervous whenever I have to use these formalities for procedures. Forget all these, Nie. I'm interested in having a discussion with you about market economics. Although you're studying Chinese, I think you have an economic talent. The supermarket you're managing is very advanced and impressive. Do you have any interest in pursuing a master's degree after graduating?" Nie Zhenbang was truly stunned at this point. Considering the credentials of Professor Wang, commonly assigned to PhD students, but who was now suggesting that Nie Zhenbang pursue a master's degree, constituted an unparalleled opportunity. Even with Nie's current background, if Professor Wang did not want to accept him, not even personal pleas from his grandfather would likely sway him. Reflecting on this, Nie Zhenbang realized that he had indeed reaped a rebirth bonus. In any era, the initiator is always successful. He pioneered a new model of market economy operation in the country. This was an initiative. Being noticed by Professor Wang was not surprising. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang felt no shame. Since he was reborn, he might as well be brazen for once. Moreover, having a master's degree would be greatly beneficial to his future. Nie Zhenbang immediately stood up, bowed deeply and said, "Professor Wang, thank you for your praise and guidance. It will be an honor to become your student." The two then chatted about some economic issues. The theories from the future in Nie Zhenbang's mind excited Professor Wang so much that he wished he could accept this student immediately. As Nie Zhenbang stepped out of Professor Wang's office and walked downstairs, an employee from the Walmart group was already waiting at the door. Seeing Nie Zhenbang, he immediately rushed to him and said, "Mr. Nie, Director Yang asked me to inform you that he has already arranged a dinner with the leaders of Jingcheng Automobile Factory and the National Machinery Work Committee. We're just waiting for you now." Chapter 58, National Machinery Committee. Nie Zhenbang's desire to delve into the automobile industry stemmed from his passions and grievances from his previous life. Most, if not all, men are fascinated by cars. The raw power and the fervor they ignite are irresistible for many men. As for grievances, it lies in the prices of these jointly owned brands. In effect, if one were to look at imported brands such as Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz and so on, apart from some top-tier models, the prices of average models overseas were not exorbitantly high. However, the cost of imported cars doubled, and even with the factor of tariffs eliminated, the locally manufactured cars from the joint ventures sold for the price of imported automobiles. This was where Nie Zhenbang's frustrations lay. Of course, there was also the aspect of national policies aimed at protecting the domestic automobile industry. However, Nie Zhenbang believed such protection wasn't truly beneficial for the industry. The term, "innovate to thrive," aptly applied here. If they aimed to invent more patented technologies, and bring about new automotive technologies, they needed to rival the top competitors. This was what the automobile industry needed, instead of following sheepishly behind others. Otherwise, domestic cars would always be doomed to be second best. The National Machine Industry Commission, a newly founded department established last year, resulted from the merger between the first and second machinery industry departments. It oversees the civil machinery and defense industries. If Nie Zhenbang were to get involved in the car business, interaction with the National Machinery Industry Commission, the head authority in this matter, was inevitable. As for Jingcheng Automobile, at this time, they were in heated collaboration with the American company, Chrysler, to manufacture the domestically renowned Cherokee. If Nie Zhenbang wanted to seize Audi and snatch the business from FAO, having substantial amounts of US dollars was not enough. As a luxury brand owned by Volkswagen, the company was not in need of funds. Apart from financial aspects, they would mainly consider the production capability and quality of their partners' products. After all, their brand name would be associated with the joint produced products. Choosing the partner poorly would damage their own reputation. Thus, since Nie Zhenbang had returned and shared this idea with Yang Onbong had started to take action. His arrangement to meet the personnel from the National Machinery Industry Commission in Jingcheng Automobile was in preparation for future collaborations. For this occasion, Yang Onbong arranged the dinner at Quanjude. When Nie Zhenbang arrived, Yang Onbong was already waiting at the entrance. Seeing Nie Zhenbang's puzzled expression, Yang Onbong laughed and helplessly explained, "Brother, I didn't have much of a choice. The premier particularly fancies Quanjude, having selected it as the venue for numerous state banquets. Personally, I'm not accustomed to it. However, the deputy director from the National Machinery Industry Commission, our guest of honor tonight, enjoys this place. So, I'm catering to his preference." The deputy director was the former head of the Second Machinery Industry Department, which managed the defense industry. With the merger, he had become the deputy director of the new National Machinery Industry Commission. Nie Zhenbang teased at this moment, "Wow, who would have thought that even the infamous second young master of the Yang family would have to wait for someone?" About 5 minutes later, a military green Cherokee 2500 drove directly to the entrance. A somewhat overweight middle-aged man descended from the back seat. At this time, Yang Onbong stepped up to greet him. "Uncle Fang, thank you for gracing us with your presence. The private room has been prepared. It's in the Blessing Hall, on the second floor. The Peking duck banquet you love so much is ready, and the drinks include 30 years old Moutai liquor. Today, we hope you drink to your heart's content." Deputy Director Fang was about 55 or 60 years old, with a prominent stomach and a hairstyle reminiscent of Mao Zedong's. This hairstyle was common among men of his age in this era. Based on the head of the Yang family's seniority, Nie Zhenbang should theoretically address him as uncle. However, due to their lack of a close relationship in Beijing's complex society, they simply used an informal and somewhat ambiguous term. Hearing Yang Onbong's words, Deputy Director Fang laughed heartily, his eyes squinting into fine lines. He patted Yang Onbong's shoulder and said, "Ah Onbong, you are now a well-known magnate in the city of the emperors. You're the tax star among all privately run enterprises here in Jingcheng. Your dear father, Mayor Yang, praised you to the skies at the People's Congress. Why be so formal? A casual meal would have sufficed." Speaking, Deputy Director Fang seemed to ignore Nie Zhenbang and walked past him. Nie Zhenbang didn't care. Now, everyone in the Jingcheng circle knew that Nie Zhenbang was domineering in his actions and was a top figure in the prince's circle. He first punched Zhou Chen and then swept O Zheng. In Peng City, he had wiped out a young official. Finally, he snatched Dong Wan from Jiangsu. His reputation was well known now. However, that was all hearsay. Nie Zhenbang was not an unreasonable man. To put it plainly, Nie Zhenbang's character was such that he did not stir trouble nor seek trouble. However, if anyone wanted to climb over him, they had to be prepared to bear his wrath. As for minor issues like Deputy Director Fang's behavior, Nie Zhenbang didn't care. At this time, Jingcheng Automobile Factory's factory director Lu had already been waiting in the private room. Seeing Yang Onbong and Deputy Director Fang enter one after the other, Factory Director Lu stood up. He greeted them with a smile saying, "Deputy Director Fang, you are indeed a rare guest. Next time you visit our factory, you must let us serve you. You can't leave without eating like last time." Jingcheng Automobile Factory was also a state-owned large factory. Factory Director Lu held the equivalent position of secretary level in the government. He ranked only slightly lower than Deputy Director Fang. Therefore, he was not nervous speaking now. Seeing Nie Zhenbang, Deputy Director Fang looked somewhat disdainful at this moment. He asked Yang Onbong, "And Bang, who is this young comrade?" At this moment, Yang Onbong wished he could punch Deputy Director Fang. First disdain, and now contempt. If he upset Nie Zhenbang, this dinner would probably be over. Immediately, Yang Onbong also said with a smile, "Uncle Fang, I was negligent. Let me introduce him, this is my brother, Nie Zhenbang." Upon hearing the name, Nie Zhenbang, Deputy Director Fang suddenly stood up, and the contempt on his face disappeared. With a full smile, he said, "Zhenbang, I'm really sorry. Look, this is really a case of not recognizing family in waters. When the old leader was at the Ministry of the Third Machine, I was his subordinate." Nie Zhenbang didn't care too much at this moment. People like Deputy Director Fang were not rare in the society. In his past life, Nie Zhenbang had seen many people like this. When the Nie family was flourishing, many people tried to curry favor. However, as the Nie family fell, those who didn't kick them while they were down were considered nice. Nie Zhenbang had never met Deputy Director Fang, either in his past life or this one. His claim of being a subordinate under the old man was just a polite remark to save face. Nie Zhenbang was not in the mood to care about such a person. He also replied with a smile, "Uncle Fang, you're too kind. I should be the one saying sorry for not greeting you first. Please don't mind it." Because they learned about Nie Zhenbang's identity, it was clear that Deputy Director Fang and Factory Director Lu's attitudes improved a lot. Unlike Yang Onbong, Nie Zhenbang's ferocious reputation was well known. As it was said, he was the adopted grandson of the former head of state. These people naturally dared not mess with him. After 3 rounds of drinks, Yang Onbong saw the hint in Nie Zhenbang's eyes, and immediately stood up and said, "Deputy Director Fang, Factory Director Lu, this time, our Walmart Group is planning to set up a joint venture with Volkswagen of Germany to establish Huasha Audi Automobile Company Limited, specifically for the production of Audi cars, to fill the gap in our country's lack of high-end cars. However, as the 2 leaders know, our Walmart Group only has money without a foundation. Therefore, this time, my intention is to hope for a collaboration with Jingcheng Automobile. We first establish a joint venture. Then we negotiate with Audi under the name of this company. We need the full support of the 2 leaders." Upon hearing this, Factory Director Lu was shocked. Jingcheng Automobile Factory had collaborated with Chrysler to produce Jeeps, so he had tasted the sweet fruit of such a venture. Factory Director Lu was very interested and immediately smiled, "Young Master N, you're too polite. This kind of project gives us at Jingcheng Automobile Factory a great advantage. I warmly welcome it." Quote. On the side, Deputy Director Fang glanced at Nie Zhenbang. Such a thing involved the auto industry. Under the current situation that the government has not yet formally opened up the auto industry to private enterprises, such cooperation naturally required the approval and recognition of the State Machinery Committee. However, Deputy Director Fang laughed at this moment and said, "Personally, I fully support this cooperation. That's it, young Master N. I will report this when I go back, and then give you a reply, okay?" Upon hearing this, Yang Onbong's face instantly turned cold. Chapter 59, Tricked by Zhou Chen. Deputy Director Fang's servile and indecisive demeanor was truly vexing. When asking for a favor, he behaved as if he were godly, and had no qualms about stuffing himself when dining. However, when it was time to reciprocate the favor, he would wipe his mouth clean and refuse to commit to anything. In the circles of Jingcheng, everyone knew Yang Onbong to be a mild and good-hearted man. However, at this moment, Yang Onbong was feeling a bit vexed. It seemed like Deputy Director Fang really did not appreciate kind treatment. You have to understand that regardless of the era, be it this one or the future, those who cause scandals are typically the offspring of average officials or wealthy individuals. These people rely on the reputation carved out by their parents but subsequently lose their way. They look down on nouveau riche, but in reality, to the descendants of the true red families, they too, are considered nouveau riche. Why do the descendants of the red families maintain such a low profile? Aside from the state's intentional information embargo, the crucial reason is that these individuals generally disdain mistreating the public. To the descendants of the red families, pursuing business and politics, maintaining the family's glory and building their own careers, these are what truly matter. However, if anyone were to dare block their path forward, the outcome would be plain to see. Those blocking their path would be sent to their graves. Seeing signs of Yang Onbong's anger, Nie Zhenbang stepped in to calm him down, attempting to make peace first by saying, of course. We can understand why Uncle Fang would act this way, then we will wait for the good news from you. Zhenbang, why are you holding me back? This fat Fang really thinks highly of himself. Damn it. If it were the old me, I would have slapped his face already. He's talking bureaucracy to me, huffed Yang Onbong with obvious indignation. Nie Zhenbang didn't seem irked at all. He watched Deputy Director Fang's receding figure, pondering before he said, "Brother, making a move against him now would be the most unwise. If word gets out, you will find yourself in an unfavorable position. If you don't take a stand, others in our circle might mock you for being weak, claiming that even a vice minister can walk all over you. However, if you retaliate, it will be far worse. People will say that your business success relies solely on oppressive and arrogant tactics and that you are leaning on your father's power. The choice is up to you. In our circles, no matter how good the relationship is, no one is willing to take orders from anyone else. Unless it's someone like Lu Kun, who is remarkably clear in stating his position. Usually, people like Nie Zhenbang and Yang Onbong, who have equivalent status, tend to build their relationships to close the distance between them. As long as they're on the same page, the question of who commands whom would not arise. Hearing Nie Zhenbang's words, Yang Onbong calmed down a bit, waving his hand dismissively. I do not believe that without this butcher Fang, I can't get my hands on a pig. The next day, upon entering the headquarters of Walmart Holdings, Nie Zhenbang walks in to see Lu Kun chatting animatedly with the receptionist. Nie Zhenbang instructed him, Kun, go investigate Deputy Director Fang from the Machine Workers Committee. I want to know who's backing him. In the official circles, no one would dare to claim they don't belong to a faction. Even the cleanest and most honorable officials would not dare to state their loners. Being alone with no connections is a privilege only an emperor can have. Everyone has their own circle of interpersonal relationships, formed by schoolmates, townspeople, and so on. Those they are close with account for their faction. Here, just as Nie Zhenbang instructed Lu Kun to investigate Deputy Director Fang, Yang Onbong received a call from Deputy Director Fang in his office. On the other end of the phone, Deputy Director Fang's voice was as calm as ever, hee and bang. I am really sorry. Regarding your matter, I have discussed it with Director Sun of our Machine Workers Committee. Director Sun thinks that our committee does not object. However, the automobile industry is, after all, heavy industry. We simply lack the courage to endorse it over to private enterprises. How about you consult Elder Yang? Hanging up the phone, Yang Onbong felt fury swell up inside of him. This old fox, saying something was the same as saying nothing. If I wanted to ask my father, would I have even needed his permission? This was the most critical moment in the struggle. Whether it's the head of state, the Nie family, the Yang family, or the entire reformist faction, they had all reached a kind of tacit agreement. Progress slowly. Absolutely do not give the conservative faction a sense of despair. If so, the country might end up in chaos. So, there was no problem with Yang Onbong running some supermarkets. However, letting Yang Onbong get involved in the automobile industry would be enough to provoke Comrade Zuri. Whether this proposal could be approved was another question. If approved, Comrade Zuri would lose face and might do something extreme. If not approved, the face of the reformists, even the face of the head of state, would also be lost. Seeing Nie Zhenbang walk in from outside, Yang Onbong spread his hands, sat down and said solemnly, it fell through. That damn thing told me to go talk to my father. If I could go, I wouldn't need his help. I'm afraid this thing can't be done. But Nie Zhenbang smiled at this moment. He had already expected this since last night. As expected, he looked at it today and then said with a light laugh, Yang, you've worked yourself into a corner. Who cares if the Jigong committee doesn't agree? We continue as planned. We don't show our faces, that's all. As long as LV Qingjun dares to act, what are we afraid of? Hearing this, Yang Onbong had a sudden sense of clarity and immediately stood up and said, Zhenbang, let's go together to Jingcheng Automobile. I don't believe that LV Qingjun would dare to refuse our request. If he does refuse, we'll find someone who dares to do it. After some persuasion and with Nie Zhenbang's assurance, LV Qingjun's expression changed, he clenched his teeth and finally agreed. On the surface, Jingcheng Automobiles would negotiate with Audi Company as Huasha's partner. Behind the scenes, Walmart would infuse 1.6 billion RMB into the new company established by Jingcheng Automobiles. Jingcheng Automobiles would hold 49% of the shares in exchange for its production base and technical personnel. Walmart would hold 51% of the shares. With the signing of the agreement, the struggle in LV Qingjun's heart was also laid to rest. The thing was already at this point. Anything else didn't matter. If it was meant to fail, so be it. At this point, LV Qingjun relaxed, walked up, and extended a hand, young Lord Nie, young Lord Yang. From now on, we are friends in the same trench. Factory Director Lu, let's enjoy our cooperation. I think, with the two of us escorting you, I guarantee that no one dares to touch your position. Factory Director Lu, prepare. The business representative from Audi Company will be here in a few days. Yang Onbong said with a laugh. With the signing of the contract, the final obstacle for Walmart entering the automobile industry was removed. As for the cooperation with Audi, Yang Onbong already took it for granted. With a large sum of money being injected into Jingcheng Automobile by Walmart, Jingcheng Automobiles began to make big moves. With the full support of Elder Yang, the deputy mayor of Jingcheng, Jingcheng Automobiles quickly completed the transformation from a factory to a company. The new Jingcheng Automobile Holding Company, Limited was officially established. At the same time, in the suburbs of Jingcheng, Jingcheng Automobile purchased 5,000 acres of land to build a new production base. 3 days passed quickly. During these days, Jingcheng Automobiles became the focus of attention not only in Jingcheng but throughout the whole country. Everyone was wondering how Jingcheng Automobiles, which was merely a second-rate automobile enterprise in the country and was neither FAO Group nor SAIC, could suddenly make such a big move. At this moment, in the banquet hall of the capital restaurant, Nie Zhenbang, Yang Onbong, and the top executives of Jingcheng Automobile Company had already gathered. A long banner was hung above the banquet hall, reading, "Welcome Mr. William, the business negotiating representative of Germany's Audi Automobile Company, to Jingcheng Automobile Company." At this moment, Nie Zhenbang looked at his watch somewhat irritably. It was already 10:30 in the morning. According to the schedule, he should have arrived. However, there was no sign of William. Could something have happened? Just thinking about this, some staff members of Jingcheng Automobiles rushed in from outside. As soon as they entered, they shouted, "Bad news, General. Manager LV. Mr. William has been picked up by someone from FAO." At this time, Lu Kun also walked in from outside. Seeing the entire venue in silence, Lu Kun shivered, then walked to Nie Zhenbang's side and whispered, "Brother Nie, I have checked it out. This Mr. Fang is from the Zhou family." Upon hearing this, Nie Zhenbang realized that he had been set up by Zhou Chen. Chapter 60, Counterattack. Damn it, I've been screwed over by that Zhou Chen. Despite Nie Zhenbang generally having a calm and elegant demeanor, at this moment, he erupted with an explicit outburst. "What do you mean by screwed over? Do you know something, third brother?" At his side, Yang Onbong and LV Qingjun also walked over, their expressions serious. This time around, it involves major stakes and substantial investments. The entire Walmart holdings had practically thrown in all their liquid assets, including the money Nie Zhenbang had procured from the Soviet Union. Thankfully, with the ongoing influx of funds facilitated by Nie Zhenbang, they didn't need to worry about their capital flow. However, with such a massive investment, they couldn't just stand by and watch things unravel. If word got out, it would mean a great loss of face for both Nie Zhenbang and Yang Onbong. LV Qingjun was even more anxious. He had taken significant risks for this collaboration. If it wasn't for the backing of Vice Mayor Yang Shengli, the deal might not have even been possible. If this collaboration worked out, there wouldn't be much to worry about. But, if it fell through, that would probably mean the end for him. Nie Zhenbang, currently in a foul mood, snorted coldly and stopped speaking. At his side, Lu Kun explained, "We've just found out. The one causing trouble was Zhou Chen. That Fat Fang is one of Zhou family's men. Likely, he was aware of the animosity between the third brother and Zhou Chen. This time, it must have been Fat Fang who tipped off Zhou Xiaosh. Consequently, Zhou Xiaosh remotely orchestrated the departure of Audi Company's representatives from Chunan province. In Nie Zhenbang's plan, the minimum stake they were planning to negotiate with Audi Company was 51%. However, FAO could offer equivalent shares. Regardless of what a mere 1% difference appears to be, the concepts signified by the two figures were entirely different. One represents majority control, the other symbolizes equal partnership. In addition, FAO's infrastructure and industrial standards exceeded those of Jingcheng Automobile. At the moment, FAO was launching a new engine project with Chrysler which could easily be integrated into Audi models. Given this, if they tried to intercept William now, it would merely place them in a disadvantageous position. Damn, I knew that Fat Fang was no good. I won't forget about Zhou Xiaosh. Once I'm back in Jingcheng, he better not provoke me, Yang Onbong grumbled aggressively. Nie Zhenbang, however, offhandedly sat on a table and calmly said, "We will deal with Zhou Xiaosh later, plenty of opportunities will arise in the future. But this time after the sabotage by Fat Fang, you must retake the initiative, second brother. Otherwise, all sorts of unsavory characters will ride roughshod over us. Besides, FAO will produce Audi vehicles targeting government procurements, right? I would like to see if the Zhou family has such influence. Turned back to LV Qingjun, Nie Zhenbang said, Mr. LV, you don't need to worry too much. The world isn't only Audi. There are still 2 automotive giants in Germany who haven't participated. Besides, there is also the United States, General Motors, Ford. These companies are all internationally well-known. Let them occupy Audi. We can seek to cooperate with Mercedes, BMW. If it goes really south, we can also partner with Cadillac. Nie Zhenbang's words brought clarity to Yang Onbong. Previously, it seemed as if Yang Onbong had gotten himself trapped in a corner, where the world would end if Audi pulled out. At this moment, Yang Onbong nodded and said, That's right, the third brother makes a good point. Boss LV, our new base will continue construction as planned and aims to be completed as soon as possible according to world standards. They think they're powerful with Audi. We can counter this by inviting global partners under the name of Jingcheng Automobile. There are plenty of top brands in the world. We might even be able to attract Rolls-Royce. Of course, as the top luxury brand in the auto industry and a renowned handmade car company, Rolls-Royce certainly wouldn't come. However, since Audi has also made their move, it is likely that Daimler Company, the Bavarian Machinery Manufacturing Company, Limited, General Motors, Ford, as well as Washaw's neighbors, Japan's Toyota, Honda and Nissan, would show great interest. Then, it wouldn't be like they were sitting ducks just waiting to be taken advantage of. Yang Onbong was always a person who dared to think and act. Immediately, he turned to LV Qingjun and said, Mr. LV, when you go back, organize a strong team to promote the history and current status of Jingcheng Automobile. Additionally, make our new base presentable and create a set of beautifully designed promotional brochures to distribute to all the globally renowned car manufacturers. I don't believe Zhou Xiaosh could intercept all the manufacturers this time. With a professional like LV Qingjun involved, there was naturally no need to worry about Jingcheng Motor Plant. When the time comes, all Nie Zhenbang would need to do was just steer the ship during the final stages of negotiation. At this moment, Nie Zhenbang and Yang Onbong were sitting in the office of Yang Shengli, the deputy secretary of the Jingcheng Municipal Committee and the executive mayor of the Jingcheng Municipal Government. Yang Shengli's secretary had just poured them each a cup of Bilawachun tea and then smiled, saying, Master Nie, Master Yang, the mayor will be back soon. I will leave you two to chat. She then excused herself and left. They had come to seek Yang Shengli's help. After all, they were dealing with a vice-ministerial level cadre, and unless they were to approach the elder directly, they were currently incapable of influencing the decision of the Central Organization Department on their own. Hence, among those in Jingcheng, Yang Shengli was the most suitable candidate. Ah, the premium da Hong Pao from the elder's place always tastes the best, remarked Yang Onbong after lounging in his chair, his feet on the coffee table, slack and seemingly at ease, with a total disregard for decorum. Just then, the sound of the door opening signaled Yang Shengli's return. Seeing Yang Onbong in such a state, he quickly chided, Lousy brat, show some manners. This isn't your home. Sit properly. Nie Zhenbang also stood up promptly, Uncle Shengli. The Yang family had always fostered a strict culture towards boys but spoiled the girls. Upon seeing Nie Zhenbang, Yang Shengli gave a friendly nod, Zhenbang, you're here too. You're here about Audi, aren't you? I've also heard about it. This time, Fao has certainly stepped out of line. As the executive mayor of Jingcheng, and with Jingcheng Motors a city-controlled enterprise, Yang Shengli was in favor of the cooperation between Audi and Jingcheng Motors. This time, having their business snatched away by First Auto Work left the Jingcheng government somewhat displeased. However, Fao was, after all, a large state-owned enterprise directly under the central government and outside his jurisdiction. Although they were unhappy, there was little the Jingcheng authorities could do in response. At this point, Nie Zhenbang spoke up, Uncle Shengli, I think it might be a blessing in disguise. Without Audi, we still have Mercedes, BMW, Cadillac, and a few Japanese companies to choose from. We are already in the process of initiating these possibilities. However, having Jingcheng municipal government's support will greatly increase our chance of success. Right now, we're targeting Fat Fang. Hearing this, Yang Shengli couldn't fail to understand what was going on. He smiled and, looking at Nie Zhenbang with a sense of appreciation, he waved his hand while grinning and said, all right. You think I'm not aware of your little schemes? Just leave this matter to me. Aside from the factor of foul snatching their business, this time round, the Zhou family had intervened as a neutral party and used a vice minister-level cadre as an insider. It was indeed a somewhat excessive move. If the reformists didn't hit back, the neutral party would likely sway towards the conservatives. Even when not considering personal grievances, taking action against Fat Fang was inevitable. With Yang Shengli's influence, the Central Organization Department quickly made adjustment plans. Fat Fang was transferred to the Ministry of Agriculture as the fourth-ranking deputy minister, a fairly quiet post. Simultaneously, Lu Kun's father, previously the party secretary of West City District, was promoted to deputy director of the National Machine Workers Committee, replacing Fat Fang's position. By this time, after nearly a month of preparation, the supplies that Nie Zhenbang needed were basically ready. This meant Nie Zhenbang's second journey to the Soviet Union was not far off. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.